What's good, chat? It's Wednesday. It's What If Wednesday. I've got Lady B here with me and a great panel to bring in. How's it going, Lady B?
It's great. I'm just I'm tired. I don't know what it is about Wednesdays, but I have like three things going on, and one of them before this is like gardening things. So I need to change my schedule because I'm tired.
Oh, okay.
But it's okay. I'm here for this, and I'm excited.
Hey, thank you. Well, thanks for coming back again. And speaking of that, we've got this guy. What's up, Alex?
Hey, babe.
How much you?
Oh, just trying something new. Hopefully it works out. People like it, and if not, oh, too bad. It's gonna work. We have a different panel tonight too. So we have new panelists. We've got a new topic, a new test, and I'm gonna bring in first time on the channel. Awesome guest. Got to hang with him a little bit now through Goooch, and Angry Badger's here.
Hey, Zax. Hi, guys.
What's up, Angry Badger?
Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
That is the yelling you hear it's the first day of school tomorrow. So
That's how Goooch sounded when
Friday.
he had to go back.
First day of school. Ow, George.
Thursday.
Oh,
It's
Everyone's
Canada.
Sorry. I don't know what day it is.
Blame Canada. No, it's fine. Happy to be here. Love Star Trek. So happy to talk.
What
about
a
his
day for you
influence.
streaming wise, by the way.
Oh yeah, no, it's been great. Yeah, Chris Gore, shout out. That was
Wow.
a good experience. And then Alan Ing, glad everything worked out for him. Sorry, lady, if you didn't know, Alan Ing, who normally hosts Hollywood on the Rocks with Chris Gore, his wife had some surgery, so I was just filling in for him, but everything worked out great. So it was a good day for everyone. Got to
That's
stream
great.
with my heroes. I also got to stream with Chris Gore, but I get to stream with Zach. Like I said, stream with my heroes.
Yeah, Chris
This
Gore is
guy.
cool. I got to meet him one time.
Yeah, he's all right.
Flattery always works.
He's the best of us, and yes, I'm talking
He
about
looks like a
Zax.
Targaryen.
Yes, well, I'm aspiring. I have a part. A little, maybe some shenanigans were had. But no, even if I always was Star Wars, I always liked Star Trek. I was always both worlds. I always said I wanted to live in the Star Trek future, but then play Star Wars on the holodeck. We'll see. I'm still waiting on my holodeck.
The holodeck, that's one of the great ideas that I don't know if they originated with Star Trek or not, but man, there's so many concepts with that even though I wouldn't call myself a Trekkie or even close to it, I have watched it, I have enjoyed it. It's just not a lifestyle thing for me. But some of the concepts that people have taken and invented, I've been doing a lot of reading this week and I've learned a lot. So I will I'll just shut up and bring in Brian. Hey, Nerporio.
How you doing?
Good, you?
Great. Thanks for having me.
So when I put this out as a topic and I put out to my members, does anyone love Trek or want to talk about Trek or understand this idea of what if Trek didn't exist? And I got a bunch of DMs saying, bring Brian on, get Nerporio on. You have to get Nerporio on. So Nerporio is on.
I saw it this morning too. I was like, you're doing a Star Trek stream without me, but you did have a great one with Raquel. And if anyone knows, if anybody knows anything about Star Trek, Raquel does. So
she does. Yeah, Raquel is awesome. I still like Raquel a lot, but we had a stream with Raquel. It unfortunately didn't go as well, and so
yeah, we lost a lot of Star Trek. We lost a lot of Star Trek content creators. The last month we lost Bird of Prey 5 just last week. We lost Clobbering Times, and we lost Pop Culture Curator. So wow. I mean. Yeah, so it's been. I mean,
tragic.
It's been a tragic, but that's the reality of being a content creator, and knowing more people is just that we're gonna eventually some people will eventually lose. So and that's what the Wrath of Khan and that's what makes the Wrath of Khan so timeless. So
no, it's just kind of
they're never truly gone as long as we remember.
Yeah.
Jay,
no one's ever truly gone.
Welcome, Emperor Goodwin. Is this your first time on here?
I was on Circle of Jerks.
Okay. Who doesn't like the Circle of Jerks? Last week's show was insane. So my channel was still there in the morning, so I was happy.
I was so glad that you found AJ's dad. I mean, he went out for smokes so many years ago, and you were able to track him down. That was heartwarming.
And AJ didn't really seem appreciative, did he?
I don't think so. And I think that there should be a paternity test because AJ's dad sure knew a lot more about YouTube than AJ does, which
Yeah.
is impressive for someone of that generation.
So that was a mess, that show, because AJ was supposed to host and then his internet was being weird, he said. And so then he went live and said, no, you go live now. So I went live after that. And he's still on his channel. I'm on my channel. He's sending people over. And he was on the show the entire night. So his internet was just fine.
What a surprise.
Yeah. But, well, fun night anyways. Anyway, let's say how do some people here. Got a Dig Outlaws here. So Dig, Alex Moore. Pearl Scott's here. You can see Scott. Rick Costa. The thought of no Star Trek makes me depressed. Yeah, I mean, I think it's helped a lot of people, and it really it's been ever present since the first premiere, really. So, Brian, you tell me. I'm not going to look it up. When was Star Trek first on television?
Oh, in the U.S., it was September 8th of 1966. They aired the Man Trap episode. That was the one with the salt creature. They go to a planet and they find out that this woman is actually a shapeshifter, and she's actually it was the first episode was, believe it or not, a slasher. And yeah, and then they made a lot of the episodes were basically science fiction, but with the idea of, just taking scientific concepts and seeing like how far does science go before we lose morality and all that. And there was a lot of episodes that kind of did that. There was an episode where they go to a planet and everybody's controlled by a computer. They the entire planet was literally NPCs. Like they wait for a download to get instructions to either attack or to do something. And well, let's just say they had to. Yeah, there was riots. There was riots. There was literally when the Summer of Love happened. I rewatched an episode called Return of the Archons. It was season 1 of the original series, and there's literally riots, and they're like they call it the festival, and there's like bad stuff happening, and then they go in, you find out the whole place was controlled by a literal computer, and the Shatner tells the computer to go F itself, and it destroys itself. So, and the one that everybody talks about, when they say, oh, Star Trek was always woke, is the episode, the Let That Be Your Last Battlefield. That's the one where they encounter 2 aliens, one played by Frank Gorsh and the other played by Lou Antonio, and they have their faces painted black on one side and white on the other. The problem is these 2 hate each other because they're black on the wrong side of the face and white on the other side. And
I hate that.
Yeah, it's terrible. And
yeah,
and it was like, oh, it was so obvious that it was about racism. Like, they didn't really talk about racism in the show. They just talked about the idea of hatred being disgusting. They didn't talk about racism. They didn't actually mention Martin Luther King and all that. But I don't know, that argument that's an old argument. So, but yeah, it's been the thing that Star Trek taught me as a kid was the idea that it just gave me hope that that people were good, and that people there was moral people out there to be friends with and to to have hope for. So that gave me hope as an adolescent. That was the thing that really took over my adolescence. So
Star Trek definitely gives us all hope. What about you, Zach? Do you have hope?
I do have hope. I have hope that there's people still in the chat watching, and that I have not welcomed yet. Sketch, what's up? Good to see you. Alex Moore, been waiting for this. We've got Scott. Good to see you, Scott. Jenny, saw you here last week. Thanks for coming back, Jenny. Anthony Cheddux. Love Gina. We all love Gina. After Dark is here. Gap After Dark. You've had so many troubles with your name, dude. I hope that you can work that out. Bloss is here. Star Trek is super gay. Play some Ian Foot videos. That's for the weekend. Nice. What's up, boners? Jana. Eraserhead, what's up? Eraserhead, thanks for coming over. We are going to have some Goooch in here as well later on. We got Brandon, the anime guy, a Star Trek show without moi. Well, I mean, you're right. You probably should have had an invite, and that's Brian's fault that you don't. Serenade me to sleep. Bobby, what's up? Oh, hello. Holy cow, yeah. Life with Star Trek is nothing. I'll give you a clip for that. This is going to be... I think that's worth this one.
7:02 already this morning, and it just blind flying by like this week. It's Wednesday, right?
I think so.
Hump day.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Hopefully we'll have a dry hump day.
It's not real. Oh.
Always a winner, right? That one. Oh, it's a brick. Cohen's Ghost. I know you, Gary. I know you're Gary in disguise. Gary, good to see you, Gary. Thanks for coming. And yeah, let's get into this topic a little bit deeper. Oh, hey, Tina. All right, Badger. Tell me about you and Star Trek, and what does it mean to you now? What did it mean to you then? And is it worth it going forward? That's 3 big questions.
Yeah. So I was introduced to Star Wars first, and then like when I would see Star Trek on TV, which I guess would have been like reruns of the original and Next Generation stuff, it always confused me. I didn't realize, is there still Earth? What's going on? Why are they out there? Then when I got older and I was able to catch Star Trek Voyager on reruns, because remember there was no streaming and unless you had like the DVD sets or whatever. So at 3 a.m., because I was a night owl, and I watched the entire run, which then led me, and I watched all of Enterprise, and then finally all of the Next Generation. I really liked it. Like I said, I'm Star Wars first, but Star Trek was always there. I never picked sides, even if I do remember when Star Wars was cool and we would make fun of the Star Trek. Star Trek was the nerdy one because it was like it explained everything and then explained the explanations of the explanations, as opposed to Star Wars just like they got a ban of gas and it's like it's just a one level explanation. So I always appreciated Star Trek for that. And like you said, the moral would just throw some interesting ideas of all of our issues. I love that all of our issues were done. Like the Federation, for the most part, the Federation was supposed to be the shining example. And I think it's just like Superman and America. They're shining examples of what could be if we just do our best and treat everyone as if we are them and they are each other, but merit-based. And so, yeah, I think it should still continue. What has been done in its name is not Star Trek, much like what has been done in the name of all the other franchises is not, So, yeah. There's always a place for Star Trek. And unlike if you took out some of the others, Star Trek is, everything of our modern technology and has come from Star Trek. Yep. Tablets, flat screens, the way we talk, Wi-Fi.
Flip phone.
All of it. I love Star Wars, but what did they introduce? Death lasers and the ray shields that already existed in the sci-fi. So yeah, it's Star Trek. It all comes from Star Trek.
We used to have some great arguments about Star Trek versus Star Wars in a battle sense. Like the different fleets. That's how big of nerds we were. But I would have been with you. Dude, what?
You still have them all the time.
Fuck.
Oh yeah.
Those are great conversations.
It's normally had by Star Wars fans that don't know Star Trek and vice versa. So sorry, Millennium Falcon's getting owned by the Enterprise, but a Star Destroyer might have a bad day for many of the Enterprises.
Have you ever seen the meme of the Enterprise being chased by the Star Destroyer saying, let's get out of here before Disney acquires us?
Yeah, that's about correct. Yes, that's about the sum of it.
That's true. So for me, I watched Star Trek, the original series when I was a kid, but like only in syndication. It was on Sundays, and we had 3 channels, and so it was this or Church or the Prairie Farm Report, and so Star Trek won that fight for me, and I did watch it. I enjoyed it. I wouldn't say that I was a fan. I didn't go looking for it as much, but I did like it. I saw all the movies in the theaters up until I think Nemesis, maybe. I think that was it for me. And I would go back again. I got into TNG. I watched nothing. Got into TNG when it was just the final season, and it was like the summer of TNG for me because it was on every day, and it was like right when I was waking up. And so I'd get up, roll out of bed, watch some Star Trek, and then I watched the final season. And then I didn't watch anything else until 10 years later, and I caught up on DS9 when I was working a night job.
Video games? Any Star Trek? Because Elite Force I used to play, and then I still play Star Trek Online. I don't know if anyone. Shameless, but just because of the world.
I used to play Starfleet Academy, Super Nintendo.
Yes, and there's a couple of them. Sorry, Zach.
No, don't be sorry. That's great. Actually, I was thinking about that. But I used to play the Star Wars games. So like even back to like TIE Fighter, X-Wing, Star Wars Rebellion. That was the strategy. I loved all that stuff. But Star Trek, I've tried some of the games on the PC, and have not fallen into them. But they could be great. I did not try online.
Bridge Commander back in the day. Still, people play it and mod it.
Really?
It's the dream. I want to be a starship captain.
Yeah.
Number one.
I'm the real man trap. Okay.
The only Star Trek game I ever played was Star Trek Armada. And
Yeah.
I have no idea if that's a good one, a bad one, or what that says about me. But that's the
I
only
think they
one
have
I
a better
remember.
history than Star Wars games back in the day until like a certain point.
That's probably fair.
Got a super chat here from Brandon the Anime Guy. Thank you very much. $5. Star Trek is superior to Star Wars, even the bad Star Trek Voyager, 1966-2005. Plus Star Trek continues and with Vic. Yes, that's the that was the fan made, right?
Yeah, the fan made.
Yeah, that is like, as far as I'm concerned, that is the canonical way that the original series ends. Because I always wondered growing up how the original series would have ended had it been made, during Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, when they actually made series finales. So what Vic Mignogna gave us, I think, is well worth it.
Wow.
And I
can
thought
you
a beautiful way to
actually
end
watch
it.
What's that,
Can you-
Libby?
Can you watch it?
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Oh, cool. I was just reading about that and I didn't know it existed. And I'm like,
Fans
I
always
want
end up having
to
do
make I want to make a physical copy of it. Just make it beautiful. Add it to the Blu-ray shelf.
This is for you, Brandon. I'm not gonna play the whole clip, but it's a good start.
Where you can all stand around and jerk each other off while you tilt your head backs and go, woke, 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 woke. And then you can come on each other's faces and tell each other.
John.
Well, at least I know what I'm doing later tonight.
Not my
See,
proudest.
they say that after looking at Tobey Maguire's dick.
Yeah,
That's
hunted.
true.
I hunted.
And thank you, Gary, for becoming a member with Cohen's Ghost. Love to have you on for these. Actually, this would have been a good one to have you on as well. But next time, and I'm going to give you.
I absolutely love that scene. It was one of my favorite of the episode, other than, Damon and Rhaenyra reuniting. So I just love that. Also,
Do you feel like they
guys, we want to take a second and thank a sponsor of today's episode.
Shut up, bitch! I'm talking.
That's right. The one time she talks,
talking volume down.
cuts her off with Manscaped. Okay, all right. Let's go. Amber Goodwin, tell me about your Star Trek voyage.
Oh, I mean, so I watched it in syndication, as a kid, even before Star Wars came out. I was a big sci-fi fan anyway, and seeing the original series, and then I remember when TNG first came out, and it was innovative distribution model because it was a pure syndication play. It wasn't on a specific network, although it really jump starts UPN, which kind of later transmogrifies into a legit network. And the first season of that is a bit rough. There's some good points, there's some bad in that, but then really kind of hit its stride and goes. I always kind of view those, they're kind of two different eras and have different philosophies, but it makes sense within the world because you're looking at a couple hundred years difference, in time, and so things have changed with the Federation and all that. DS9 was very good, and was an interesting play because everything else was you're voyaging, whereas DS9 you are stuck in a place and really having to be like the other people are on the frontier, you're now stuck in the fort and see what happens, right? And so it was an interesting dynamic, and they got to get a lot deeper on a lot of topics. That's also kind of where they went to, instead of being episodic, more of long story, multi-episode story arcs. Voyager, I never really could get into. It was just a bit painful. Enterprise, I started to watch it, and the theme song sickened me so much that I was like, "Fuck you, I'm out." And then it's been a long road.
I hate that.
It was like, "Fuck you and your '80s ballad bullshit. Get out of here!" Right? And
I was
but
like,
went-
I'm like, am I watching Star Trek? I remember when it first came out. I'm like, am I even watching Star Trek?
yeah, what the fuck is this? Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I went back and watched it, I don't know, probably 10 years ago. And I was like, this was a really good series that was betrayed by its time slots, because they were always, as with a lot of, the Star Trek shows, they jack with the time slots. But yeah, that fucking theme song, Jesus
Season
Christ.
3, good one. The Makos.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Banging. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
I
totally betrayed by its ending as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yes, where they gave it to the next
Yeah.
generation and Fat Riker. No offense. Boosh.
That show got canceled before it could have gotten good, because I think they were going to go in a Deep Space Nine direction and lead into the Romulan conflict that was the precursor to the original series episode Balance of Terror.
Fought with nukes where they barely saw each other.
Where they couldn't see each other. They'd never seen each other before.
I'm pretty sure they were going to violate a lot of canon from that,
Yeah,
because
that would've been a
they
bad
already
plan.
did that with the Vulcans. Like, Vulcans are now lying, and when they was established that Vulcans don't lie. So I don't know, but yeah, I think it was a good show. It's definitely better than what you get now.
Yeah,
but I think it was a step down from TNG and Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing for me is so we're talking about like the Trek universe. When we were watching the original series, it wasn't, behold, our black female communications officer. That was just Uhura. And Uhura could also be navigator and all that stuff, and she was absolutely competent, and that's it. Right?
She can get it. She can get it
season
too.
2, you have Chekhov, who's a Russian. Yeah. You have a Japanese, guy with Sulu, and none of that shit comes up. Right? It is just, do you do your job well? Excellent. And then the idea of this very classical means of storytelling, where you have Spock as the pure reason and logic, Bones as the very emotional, and then Kirk being
green-blooded hobgoblin.
Yeah. You green-blooded hobgoblin, inhuman.
But all the aliens were the ones that were the racist, sexist, bigot, zealot. Like, it was all those other cultures. We had our shit together. We'd had our World War III.
Yep.
We got off Facebook.
We had the eugenics wars. We had all that shit.
I hate what they did to Khan. That the fact I would love a '90s where he's like a warlord of significant part, all super enhanced. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they made a Voyager episode, a time travel episode that takes place in the 90s. I was like, shouldn't the eugenics wars be going?
Right
this was 1995, right?
Save money on the budget, and so we just shot outside the lot that day. And
well, that was also a lot of the original series, where it was like, oh, we found a planet that's just like 1940s Earth. Oh, great. Okay, here we go.
It looks like Canada, oddly. Vancouver for some reason.
Vancouver again?
Just like Stargate. Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, what did they but do you guys know about Nichelle Nichols was like, she was casting it, but she wanted to leave.
Yeah, she felt she wasn't getting enough lines, and Martin Luther King said, no, you need to stay in.
He literally tells her. I mean, I'm curious if this is true. I'm assuming I'll say yes. I'll guess yes.
Well, it's from her. That's the story originates with her.
Yeah, so I mean, if she says so, but like, yeah, that was like the one show that Martin Luther King let his kids stay up to watch and all that. And so seeing, like, I mean, the whole idea of seeing a woman, black woman, in a relatively important position, was something that was
where again her skin color did not matter. It was the content of her character.
Exactly.
It's almost like he made a speech.
Thank you, Brennan.
And you know what was great about that too is, like, we didn't get every 5 seconds like, I'm a black woman. I'm a black woman.
Exactly.
Like, she just exists. Like,
if you didn't watch it and just listen to it, you would never know what her race is or anything like that, right? It would be utterly unknown.
You just only thing that you really know is that she knows Swahili, and in the Man Trap episode, she imagines the shapeshifter becomes a handsome dude that she wants to screw, basically. Exactly. And he starts speaking the language. It's like, oh,
Oh,
I gotta go back to Lady B though. I haven't heard from you yet on your experience with
my
Star
thing
Trek.
for Star Trek. Oh man, I like Star Trek as a kid, but I came in liking TNG like way more than the original series, and I to this day don't know if I've seen the entire original series. And George, stop. Anyway, I really, really liked it like in elementary school, in junior high, and I just watched it every Sunday night. I even got my parents to take me to Star Trek conventions, and I was in a Star Trek club. And
what?
Yeah, I was. And this was before there was email and stuff, so it was like a mail-in thing. And I went to go to a watch party for when I think it was Deep Space Nine premiered, and it was like down in Orange County, and they took me there, and it was really weird because there's a whole bunch of adults, but it was cool. It was very nice. And I was a super nerd, and yeah, Boosh, you're right. And I really liked it. I had like several Star Trek costumes and stuff for Halloween, and then I really liked Deep Space Nine too when it came out. Like I think Dr. Bashir was my first celebrity crush. Total hottie there. Oh. And yeah, I just liked it a lot. And I saw like the movies that had come out. I saw them in the theater. I think I've seen all of the movies except the ones that came out like when I was not born, obviously, or very young. And I just really enjoy Star Trek, and I like it for two reasons. I like it like a lot for like the hopefulness. And I was thinking about this when I did some research for the show because I wanted to make sure I had some more just general like points other than just nostalgia stuff. But I think one of the things that I really liked obviously is the hopefulness of it. And even though when I started thinking about the world of Star Trek, like if you kind of think about it, I'm like, you're living in like the Starfleet is like this giant organization that's very much like say like the EU or the UN or something like that. And then I'm like, okay, how many planets out there or systems, like say if they didn't want to be a part of it, like could they say no? And what kind of like governmental control systems would have to actually be in place for people to have this kind of system? And then I started thinking, I'm like, that's kind of awful. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to think about this too much and just assume that like, you know, life is pretty good for the people that live there and take the good out of it than try to get too intellectual on it. So yeah, I still like it, and I think it's fun. So that was the first reason why I really liked it. And the second reason I really liked it is I always felt like Star Trek was like really intellectual. And I think a lot of it is because they sort of had like it was what you would call the hard science fiction. And when Inspector
I'm sorry, I was just thinking in my mind, well, sort of Star Trek was the head, but I thought Star Wars was the heart, and that Star Trek, even though Star Trek had heart, it was the more intellectual, like you were saying.
Yeah, and it's like when people look at speculative fiction, and that encompasses usually sci-fi and fantasy, and it's sort of determined by your magic system. Like, did they explain it a lot? Is there sort of like scientific reasoning? And hard science fiction is not like the more common because you like people base it on actual science and stuff. And it made me think of this when I was reading the Wikipedia about like cultural significance of Star Trek. And they called it, instead of technobabble, they called it Treknobabble. And I'm like, that's wrong. Like, and it got mad. But they used to, and I remember like finding that out as a kid, like at one of the Star Trek conventions when I spent $35 that I won in a costume contest for my Bajoran Vedic costume. I bought a script from a guy out of his trunk. It was like an actual used script. And
that's cool.
Yeah, and it's cool. And I knew that because they used to, when they wanted to explain something, they would just write technobabble in it. And I think that's really cool because even though it's like fantasy and things that weren't real, like there was an attempt to make it something that could be real. And they did really get scientists involved with it, which is why I think it had such a great impact on people of the future, like in technology developments and stuff like that, is because they actually made an effort. So I really appreciated that as a kid. Even though by the time I got to high school, absolutely nobody liked Star Trek, and all of my nerdy friends like Star Wars, so they brought me into the Star Wars fold. And yeah, but I read the novels, I did like the conventions. I still
made fun of for Star Wars. If I had told them I liked Star Trek,
Oh yeah.
I'd have been
I know, right?
excommunicated.
Like what?
yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of like Badger. I straddled both worlds, right? I was both Star Wars and Star
I
Trek,
know,
and I
and
was
I'm
like,
just
Same
like,
with Marvel
yeah.
and DC. I may
Yeah.
prefer DC, but I very much love Marvel too.
yeah.
Yeah, I
One
didn't.
thing- one
I
thing
didn't know
that,
anybody. I didn't know anybody that liked Star Trek. I didn't know anybody outside
I'm
of.
sorry,
I got
buddy.
friends. I got my friends into Star Trek, but I never actually met any other Star Trek fans. I didn't go to conventions. I just watched the stuff. I didn't really. I read maybe one or two books. I don't know if you guys remember. Shatner wrote a whole bunch of books where he
yeah.
resurrects Kirk after generations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really didn't start connecting with other Star Trek fans until I started looking at YouTube about 2019, 2018. Started finding channels that were into Star Trek because I actually finally wanted to connect with fans, especially older fans, people that were into it longer than I have, that might have had better insights. So yeah,
This is actually one of the questions that we will get to tonight. I hope is that will Star Wars happen if TOS doesn't happen? And there's lots of different takes on that, but apparently Lucas was pretty heavily inspired by Star Trek, along with the stuff we normally associate with Lucas, like the samurai movies and Kurosawa westerns.
Buck Rogers.
Yeah. And so it is a bit. So it would probably. Well, we'll talk about that, but I want to hear from Alex first before we go any further into that. What about you,
Max,
dude?
One quick thing.
Yeah.
Talking about like Balefire and Nerdtorial, the idea of conventions or Star Trek, right? All of the cons that you encounter now, those really start in 1972 when you start having Trek people get together, having conventions. The first one I think had like 1,500 people. The third or fourth one had 21,000, right? And this is also a fandom that wrote 100,000 letters to the network when it was getting canceled, right? That's not, I just went to a web page and clicked the thing and there I've done my thing. And there was no, large scale organizing, right? So the whole idea of the rabid fandoms as we know it in the fanatical sense, right? That really has a lot of its basis in Star Trek as well.
Hey, Sherry.
Not to mention,
Having seen what fandom has turned into recently, I'll try not to hold it against them.
no, I'm just gonna say Star Trek, as much as I love it, it also spawned one of like the legitimately worst things about fandom, and it's like it really spearheaded the fan fiction movement and erotica. Like it
Mary
was
Sue.
the OG.
Yeah, Mary Sue is literally from a Star Trek fanfic.
Yeah. But like, man, the Kirk and Spock stuff, like, why?
So, aside from being like winning the lottery for marrying Lady B, who was like a nerd and for all the right stuff coming up. What about you? What was your Star Trek experience growing up?
Well, I'm
still a kid.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm feeling pretty lame compared to some of you guys. I got a TV in my room when I was probably 15. And it was one of those tiny ones that had a DVD player built into it. So of course I felt super cool in, 2005.
You were super cool in 2005.
Yes. But ironically, my introduction to Star Trek came from the CW of all places, where they were doing reruns of TNG and Voyager.
Yeah.
And I actually started with Voyager, so the fact that I even bothered to stick around with it and watch Star Trek for as long as I did is a minor miracle.
I like Voyager. It's mine too. I watched all of it. Got me going. Chakotay is a great character.
I like
Chakotay. So strong.
There are two characters I love
Neelix.
on Voyager 7
Neelix is
Neelix gets unnecessary hate, but yeah.
I think it all might get a bit of unnecessary hate.
Chess.
So when I started collecting the original series when I was 12 in the 90s, Voyager was on TV. And Voyager I was able to get into right away. It was season 3. I was watching a few episodes like, I don't know if I like this. I'm 12. I'm a kid. What do I know? And then Scorpion Part 1 comes on. And if you don't know Scorpion Part 1, that's the one where the Borg get their asses handed to them by Species 8472.
I like Species 8472.
And the way that episode ends,
fluid space.
like you have this fleet coming out of fluid space. They do a Death Star, like these ships come together. They do a Death Star type of beam, and they destroy like half of the Borg fleet. While one Borg ship is dragging Voyager in its tractor beam, and that says to be continued. And this was before I even knew what a cliffhanger was. I was expecting
what is liquid
to see
space? I have no idea what you're talking
it's
about.
Another dimension where species 847.
I played Star Trek Online for 10 years.
Yes.
I'm basically a Starfleet captain. I fought the Undine many times. Yeah, no, it's like literally liquid as opposed to our they're basically just the reverse of us. So the ships are like underwater when they go there, basically.
Wow.
But this species is unbeatable. Like the Borg cannot assimilate them. They cannot do anything. They can't even destroy them with their ships. So
yeah.
Okay.
So this was the big what's going to happen. You have Voyager in the middle of this big these two massive giants attacking each other, basically.
So it was kind of moist. It's space, but moist.
Very moist.
Extremely moist.
And you get out of that? You get 7 of 9 out of that moistness right there. Next,
and that's
tell
winning.
me about it.
And that's all about winning right there.
You guys got to play Star Trek Online. You will see now that the Borg have fucked them up, and there are assimilated Undine. They're very terrifying. It's fun to play. I know it's all gameplay stuff. It's in its own timeline.
No, that's cool.
It's okay.
It's all connects, I think, especially with the games. I'm sure they were wise with how they did that.
In their timeline worked for Daystrom after she got back, and now she leads a group of freed Borg who go out freeing the Borg basically from the collective.
Let me read this quick. This is from Brandon the Anime Guy. Thank you again. My Brother's Keeper is a great 3-book set of Kirk and Gary Mitchell. The books add so much to the lore. Hail all Star Trek fans. Thank you, Brandon. I don't know who Gary Mitchell is. Who's Gary Mitchell?
Gary Mitchell is the guy with the silver eyes in the second pilot where no man's gone before.
The god.
So
I want to absorb all this nerd. Right now,
if you've ever seen 2001: A Space Odyssey, Dr. Poole, Gary Lockwood, that's the same actor.
Wow, he really is the encyclopedia of Star Trek. I was not making that up. So thank you very much, Brandon.
I don't know what you mean.
You don't, huh?
No
idea. Here you go.
KTVU has just learned the names of the 4 pilots who were on board the flight. They are Captain Sum Ting Wong, Wee Tu Lo, Ho Lee Fook, and Bang Ding Ao.
And holy emotional damage.
Oh, speaking of emotional damage,
the spider vaginas have arrived.
Yes.
buddy.
Definitely not Fat Riker.
No, Gooch is not Fat Riker. That's someone else. I love you, Gooch. He's my Fat Riker.
Gooch, did you watch Star Trek? This was your idea, dude. It's so far so good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how's it going? Is it going well?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Then you did well.
What is your history with Star Trek? I'm sure you weren't a Trekkie. I don't think.
No, I fucking hate Star Trek.
Perfect.
Yeah,
that's what I want.
Peter, let's go.
Based.
I thought it was the gayest
Fucking
thing
nerds.
that ever to hit television. It's
You
just
call it track or Trek?
well, it got a bunch of guys in tights and they have like a woman in there with them, and they don't do anything.
Very
Like,
gay.
Very, very gay. So,
love you so much.
Yeah, we do. So here's the deal,
I'm not sure if Gooch is actually reading the comic books he owns, but he's just described a large chunk of them.
So I have to say that he has read about what's with the chicks in charge, and how come there's in a row it's 3 chicks and a loser? What's up with that?
A Latina who's a Klingon. What a fucking dangerous mix that was. So spicy. Yeah.
So
we had a kid that was special needs in my class that looked like her.
Wow.
You need to move over to the left a bit, a little more to the left.
A little bit to the left, a little bit.
Okay, down a little bit.
She wasn't allowed to have Jello.
Those implants, they're very hard. You can't get them out. You got to keep them in. Bodysuit.
Do you know the story of Jerry Ryan and her relationship to Obama?
Oh wait, do I want to know?
I know her husband was like senator of Illinois. I know because I'm in Illinois or something. And
So
Had
it
something
was,
to do with
Obama's,
Obama's
it
seat.
was Obama's first run for that
There we
Senate
go.
seat.
Yeah.
And they managed to, with some friends, release the divorce records for Ryan. And one of the complaints was that so this man was married to this woman right here on the screen, right?
Yeah.
And he managed to get her and another woman to do a threesome. At which point I was like, what do you mean drop out of the race? Make him king of
Give
the
him an
United
award.
States. He is definitely winner.
We're merit based around here, and that is very meritocracy.
Yes,
I
that
agree.
is some serious accomplishment.
So is this
Yeah.
before
Whoa.
or after Star Trek?
Wow.
I think were they still doing Voyager at the
Everyone
time?
just looks better outside
I
of the
think they
80s.
were.
I think she was still.
Hair.
She was
They
still
were
seven
doing
or
some
nine.
Voyager stuff.
Yeah.
No jokes aside, though, I really like the 7 of 9 character. And I really trust me. Whatever you think about what she's done in Star Trek Online, far better for her than what they've done with her in the Picard series. So I love her character and the continuation, her whatever, the fabulous emancipation of 7 to 9. It's a good character.
Yeah,
Jerry
it was
Ryan
a good
plays the
character
hell
in
out of her.
Voyager.
Yes, she was.
Yeah, she played Jerry Ryan in Picard.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
Oh, she played Jerry Ryan.
Yeah,
I think she's
yeah.
like
she
they gave her
basically
nothing.
played
Yeah,
herself. in
She
Picard.
phoned it in.
Oh,
She
I
played
see.
herself. Yeah.
I got you. Okay. Don't overcomplicate things for me, Brian. Hold on. Look at this one. One more. Just one more for the road.
Professionals. Oh God, yes.
Mhm.
For her.
Yes.
I mean,
She looks like the chick from Always Sunny.
Yeah, she
Would-
does. She looks
kinda.
like Caitlin
Would.
Olsen a little bit. Yeah.
Would.
Would
yeah,
her
for
and
sure.
her friend. Her and her
Always
friend.
Sunny has she doesn't have a lot in the dumper.
Oh,
Well, Jerry
it's
Ryan
like, yeah.
does.
It's
Jerry
against
Ryan does,
Gooch's
indeed.
religion now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Donatelloism or what the fuck are you talking about?
Adonatology. Adonatology.
Donatology. Jeez.
Come on.
Jerry Ryan.
Badger, you're never going to make it as a deacon if you don't
No.
even get the name
Yes.
right.
Not
Come
at
on.
this rate.
Yeah.
Back to Badger. So haven't seen all this. Talked about Star Trek. What do you think if Star Trek didn't happen, which means none of it happened? Because if TOS doesn't happen, nothing happens. What do you think would be different?
Yeah, I
Anything?
mean, because the original one was what would Star Wars would have still happened 100%. It just probably would have looked more like Flash Gordon or 2001: A Space Odyssey or some weird thing like that. Then it would have whatever it took from Star Trek, which I now wonder what exactly he took from that, because it just seems beyond the basic structure of the ships.
I don't think
space.
I don't think he took anything from Star Trek.
No.
Me
He
neither.
said
So I'm wondering if maybe he just saw, it could be done.
I think.
Yeah, I
in
think he
terms-
saw the success of it as a series
In
and
ter-
realized there was a market.
in terms of production, I mean, he was really looking at how Kubrick did things in
We wouldn't have these, though.
2001. Yeah,
And we wouldn't have
And-
tablets.
Oh,
And we
hold
wouldn't
on,
have
hold on.
laptops.
but like you said, it was mainly the same. What's funny is Star Trek and Star Wars
Yeah.
come from the same.
I'm just saying we wouldn't
thing.
have phones
Oh
or
yeah.
tablets or that was, flip phones originally. Yeah, we all thought it
Yeah.
was cool. And we'd all do it, doo-doo-doo, Captain Plug. And we'd all do the thing because that's view screens. Right now, we're all talking on the view screen. We're all captains on a starship. What the hell are we going to do about these Romulans?
Nobody's saying beam me up, Scotty.
Soon, they've already even if it's like one little atom, whatever it is, one day we will kill ourselves by completely digitizing and transporting and recreating it.
Flip
But,
phones
but
were
no one
big.
else will realize it, so it's fine.
But no one else will realize it exactly.
The guy who invented the flip phone did say that he was watching Star Trek when he came up with the idea for the flip phone with the communicator, and I could see that.
You think they'll do something like that with TNG? Like you have the
royalty.
badge, the insignia badge. Just press it, and then you can talk to anybody you
You've
want.
already got the watches.
Everyone can hear you. I always wondered that.
I know,
like,
right? It's
directional.
like, we're all like, oh, we have a communicator. I'm like, we have tricorders in our pocket.
Remember
Yeah.
the mobile doo-doo, when it was like the radio? Everyone, well, not everyone, but some people were using those.
Yeah, the Sprint PCS.
Yeah.
I was like,
Didn't
literally
work out.
everybody under the age of 35 hates talking on the phone. So I suspect
True.
that
If you call me, someone better be bleeding from something they can't plug themselves.
It's because they're terrible at being phones.
Well, this is because the George Carlin bit also about people don't understand what the idea of a phone call is, just a quick exchange of information. Not
But
just
don't we have
droning on-
communicators now, right? We have like the Bluetooth things.
Yeah, no Stargate
Little
for sure.
earbuds.
Yeah,
Pretty much, yeah.
yeah, 100%. Picard to bridge.
And I'm just
yeah.
like, give me my sweet, sweet like wired earphones, please.
One day,
so
I do hope
technology.
You
I hope we
and
get the
Kamala.
holodeck.
Hey, don't you keep my name and her name on the same sentence, bro.
So for that, the Star Wars Star Trek talk, I guess he had said that he took some inspiration, but yeah, so nothing directly, I don't think from that. But then people have rolled with that idea to say that he would have been more stuck with American Graffiti type filmmaking as opposed to trying this whole Star Wars crazy thing and then funding it himself eventually.
Battlestar Galactica. When was that?
That was after
That
Star
was the
Wars.
late
It was 78.
70s.
Right. Okay.
70s,
So there you go.
78, 79, roughly.
Yeah.
I think 2001 would have been fine because that was what, 68?
68, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I
So
remember something about that.
well,
being
so
mentioned.
there's a bit of a question about that. So the one thing is you have to always think about the original series and the time in which it happens, right? So the
God,
Apollo
George.
program
Shoot.
is yes, we're definitely going to go to the moon. That's great, and all it is talk. And in '66, it's still talk, right? You're starting to do some Gemini stuff, but this doesn't. You're just playing around in low Earth orbit, right? And it's for the majority of people at home, it looks especially like the same stuff you did with Mercury and all that, right? Star Trek is one of the things that really starts to get the American populace really interested in what NASA is doing again, because there's a lull, after the Kennedy's announcement in '62 that, we will go to the moon and do the other things, right? And
Do the voice.
and but that whole idea of oh my God, that's what it will look like in the future, and we are certainty, because again, there's a positivism about technology at that time, and Star Trek really gives you a view of that and provides a huge amount of public support for the space program. At the same time, to talk about what like Lady Balefire was saying, the positive atmosphere of that everybody's get along, that our problems are solved or whatever. Realize this was being broadcast in the '60s, the late '60s, when everything is a dumpster fire, right?
Yeah.
But this idea that these things, this too shall pass, and we will all eventually get past it and move on and then go on to the stars, and that space is really the way that we will do that, right? That provides a huge amount of public support for the space program. Again, there's a reason that the first space shuttle was Enterprise.
Space
it was
Force.
because of a writing.
I know.
Let's
It's
do
so
this.
funny. I was looking at like the sort of cultural things that nobody talked about Space Force. I mean, like, look at the freaking logo. I mean,
If
come
Elon
on, guys.
Musk right now said that he was building a fleet of Space Force ships and that they had a new proprietary 0-point engine that was all aliens that we had the whole time, and that now we are recruiting, and I think they just announced that the age of joining is like 45. I got a couple more years, boys and girls. Let's do this. We can have Star Trek, and we'll be the Terran Empire, but it'll be all right. It'll at least be Star Trek adjacent. We'll just rip off our sleeves. We'll all go sleeveless and grow goatees.
Oh yeah.
I
Just
love it.
saying, plenty of planets to colonize. I hear
But,
that's what we're
but with
good at.
regards to Star Wars, no, Star Wars would have happened anyway, because George was mostly inspired by the Buck Rogers serials that he saw as a kid. In fact, he tried to get the rights to Buck Rogers, and Dino De Laurentiis owned it. And so
I thought it was
he
Flash
ends up-
Gordon he was trying to get.
or Flash Gordon, sorry, that he's trying to do, right? And that's what he remembers. That's what he wants to do. And Star Wars is very much of that. That again, the fantasy,
His is more
space opera
woo-woo.
adventure.
The Force,
Yes.
the dark
Right, it's
side,
got
the
magic,
light
so
side.
we're
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a fantasy.
Fantasy,
It's a
yeah.
fantasy.
Right,
It's
it's-
sci-fi
it's space fantasy.
Yes, and I love it for that. I
Soft
love it for that.
magic.
Yes. Sure.
So this was attributed to Lucas. This quote, I don't have a source for it, but he said the Star Trek franchise
Right.
opened the door for studios to take adult science fiction films more seriously. This affects films like Alien, Close Encounter to the Third Kind. So he was in the middle of another speech he was giving, but talking about Star Wars and Star Trek, and so I mean, yeah,
Right. So
It
again, it,
helped it
opens
get
the
made.
door. Right.
Right.
It makes the studios and other people more
Take it seriously.
possible to venture into that thing, because prior to Star Trek, I mean, you have Forbidden Planet, which is serious sci-fi. Movie wise, after that, it's basically rubber monsters, and lobster people, and Mars needs women, and we're going to steal Earth's women.
Honestly,
so
you
it's
wouldn't
like a
have
lot of
Star Trek
silliness,
without
right?
honestly, you wouldn't have Star Trek without Forbidden Planet.
Right.
I saw Forbidden Planet recently, like 3 or 4 years ago, and I saw, like, I've seen Star Trek way before this. I never knew about Forbidden Planet until a certain author who will never finish his fantasy series said it was his favorite science fiction film of all time. So I watched it, and I was like, I saw so much Star Trek into it, like when they go into stasis, when they have to get warp out of light speed or something. It looks just like the transporter platform, and then the blue hologram. You see the blue hologram, small little blue hologram. It's from Star Wars. So there's
Forbidden
so
Planet
much.
is again the one serious science fiction you have. The Day Earth Stood Still is more about moralizing, with nuclear war or whatever. But Forbidden
Cold War,
Planet that absolutely could have been a Star Trek episode, and you wouldn't doubt it at all, right?
I'll say this: Day the Earth Stood Still. If you remember Michael Rennie's performance, I swear Nimoy took some of Michael Rennie's stoic performance for Spock. And then the whole idea of there being a community in outer space, I think, stems from that movie. Because I mean, there's this community of peoples in outer space. The only thing is they're controlled by these 9-foot tall robots that can kill anything at a whim. So,
right,
is that a good situation? It's a cautionary tale.
So again, I think Star Wars would have existed.
Yes.
Really,
I agree.
the risk.
But Stargate wouldn't, as someone pointed out, because Stargate, like, the jokes are, if it's not a Star Wars, it's a Star Trek joke about naming the ships. No, we can't name it Enterprise, or
Galaxy Quest does not
Raise the
exist.
Shields. Galaxy Quest 2, which obviously we all know is the best Star Trek movie. That's not a Star Trek movie.
The Orville doesn't exist.
Yes.
It's funny.
Yeah.
I know. I was thinking about that, and I originally started reading the Elric of Melniboné by Michael Moorcock, and what's really interesting with that is that it sort of was written like at the early 60s, and Moorcock was a pulp fantasy fiction in writing. And what I thought was relevant to this conversation was that Moorcock has a bunch of his own more recent writings in the book. So he gives us idea about what was going on with like the sort of literary stuff at the time. And it's so fascinating to me because he really talks about the emergence of there's two things going on at the time. And I keep saying speculative fiction, and you really think about the sort of movements you had sort of like Jules Verne kind of stuff. And then you also had the fantasy coming in, and then he has some of his original stories that were in there before that, and he talks about other writers that he wrote with, and it is so fascinating to me because he right before Star Trek came out, there was really this sort of creative one of the questions out there, and one of the things that he wrote about in one of these science fiction and fantasy magazines was what is fantasy and what is sci-fi. And so it was interesting because at the time that they were doing this, they were still trying to define what the genre was. So to have Star Trek come out and make the sort of statement that it did, where it's science based, but it's also the action adventure and stuff, I think it really solidified the genre of what sci-fi could be, and really sort of it was culturally significant for that reason, because I don't know, I'm still thinking that's really cool, and reading the stuff that Moorcock wrote, a lot of it was in the pulps, it was a combination of the sci-fi stuff and the really campy fantasy stuff, we're fighting an airship with swords, so they really didn't know what it was, and I'm having a good time reading it. And yeah, I've read some other pulp fiction stuff too. It's the kind of detective things, and yeah.
Well, I think
fun.
you have there's a as with many genres, there's multiple subgenres within them as well, right? But if you look at Poe, Mary Shelley, Jules Verne, or whatever, right? They are taking what they know about science today, projecting it into the future, and then saying what happens, how do people react, right? And the best science fiction to me is when you take you take one or two elements of what is going on now, push it to kind of its logical extreme in the future, and then actual humans, not these cardboard caricatures that we get out of so much writing today or whatever, then how do they respond to that? right? And because these are in many ways analogies and metaphors to examine our current day, that's why they're effective. And Star Trek absolutely was focused on that. Star Wars is much more, heroic tales of old, right?
That's the Joseph Campbell hero
Right.
journey thing with all the woo woo of what are souls and good and bad and all that, which I love. For that.
Yeah, I mean, Homer could have very well written Star Wars, right?
I know.
In a different thing because of the ideas of the morality tales and the great hero who has to go.
And it's a father and a son. He talks about it. It's a family story and a father-son story and the redemption and the son rescuing the father. It's a whole nother thing as opposed to Star Trek, which is more, I think Robert Meyer, that's the one that said that Star Trek used to make you think and now it tells you what to think.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, he's absolutely correct there.
Yeah.
That's one aspect I want to get into a little bit tonight was the idea that Star Trek has always been woke to an extent. I hate that word. I don't want to use that word too much.
Progressive.
It's not.
Careful with that word too.
Progressive, sure, that's good too. But
traditional progressivism.
Be real careful with traditional progressivism.
Oh, for
because
fuck's sake, Goodwin. What do you want me to say? You know what I mean.
It's basically communism, and there was a lot of progressive that was great with the casting, and I love how they treated that. Like you guys already touched on a bunch of times, is that it wasn't humans were humans, and that was it as a race. There was no division, and it wasn't a big deal that you could have black people could be on the bridge, and that was totally fine and normal and treated that way. And I think that's important, but also you have to remember this was post-scarcity world for communism, and so it's not a model that you could actually take. You okay?
Yeah, sorry. My
Don't be sorry.
Look at what is going on. You've seen how we normally act.
Hold
He's
on.
just off the hook.
Yeah, zoomies.
The cat gets spotlight.
George, do you want to say hi to everyone? Say hi, George. Say hi to your dad. Say hi to George, like Zach. Say hi to the chat. Hi, guys. Okay.
He's clearly not a Trek fan.
and so all I was saying there is that it's not something that he's telling us to do now. It was subtle. It was there, but it was a completely different set of circumstances outside of what we could ever hope to have.
Right. Again, if you say that you no longer have scarcity, that fundamentally changes a lot of dynamics that go on with society. But instead, what you have is this new frontier that you're out on, and that is a more risky place, right? We don't have a lot of conflict back home because all of the normal triggers for conflict have been resolved one way or the other, right? And the idea in the end of that is essentially stop making it about us and look outward to discover new things. And sometimes we run into things that are very much reminiscent of what we're dealing with, and sometimes we run into things that are totally alien. And how do we deal with them anyway?
Wow,
that's very eloquently put.
Yes. How do I follow that? With this.
Photojournalist Brad Rice shows us how a forestry instructor gets his students to make and play the North American the flute in this Traveling West Virginia segment.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you follow that one.
That's right.
So there's actual inventions. Are you guys aware of any actual inventions that people use now, not just the flip phone, but that were inspired by or innovated because of Star Trek?
Touch screens.
Touch screens, like a bunch of stuff. Like what was it? Steve Wozniak said, like their whole thinking about Apple computers was based on Star Trek.
Yeah, I mean a lot of sadly, I
was anything else using touch screens though? Do we know? Was that an idea that they came up with?
The idea of the glass display that reconfigures that you touch and uses an input device was pretty specific to next generation.
My data pad.
Yeah.
Oh, Bigot Army. Clapping your cheeks.
What's up?
Oh, look at that.
Thank
No
you.
Star Trek fans. All of the Bigot
Whoa,
Army.
yeah.
Whoa, hypnotic. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, dude. Wow, that's a raid. Holy shit.
I mean, the interesting thing is that if you look at the tech and the problems.
Sorry, I'm not big enough, Zach.
You're plenty big enough for me.
Sorry.
Sorry.
We're gonna go have that. What is it? Make bacon great again burger on Friday. We'll get a little bit bigger.
Oh yeah.
Even still.
But one of the episodes in the original series has the head of of the computer technology. Dyson, what's his name there?
Daystrom. Ultimate.
Daystrom. Yeah, Daystrom. So Daystrom. Hey, oh, by the way, Black Man, who is computer genius and has invented the technology that so much of the existing starships use, has created this new system, and it's going to automate the ships to the point that the humans may be redundant.
Yeah.
The idea is, well, we can save lives because it won't make mistakes, and if something happens to the ship, then we're not risking people, right? And the problem, of course, is that automation system is a shit show and takes over and causes problems. But these are not things that we are unused to in current day, right? That we'll just automate this and it knows better.
Let me play a welcome. I have a welcome song to play for the Bigot Army. Thank you, Bigot Army. Thank you, Hypno. That's awesome. That's amazing. That's almost as good as Goooch. Goooch, you're still my favorite.
That's so small.
But we'll give him a song. Thanks, guys.
Beta male, beta, not an alpha male. Beta male, yes. Beta male, beta. You a beta male? You a beta male, not an alpha male. Beta, what a shame. Mommy's boy.
Song is the best.
Boy.
Mommy's boy. Yeah, we love Jesse Lee Peterson here.
We do.
Love his rap skills. And thank you. We got so many people here. Scooby's here. We got Sonya's here. Sanguine Twigs, thanks for coming. Is a DJ? It's a coincidence. Well, he stole my name before I used it.
You couldn't
But I got to add Zach's first, so I win. Wow, thank you guys for coming. I got a $10 super chat here. Live long and prosper, Bigot Army. Well, thank you, Bigot Army, and thank you for that. And I've got a clip for you for that. And this is it's some rough language. It's okay. We're adults here. We can handle it. So let's go, Les Grossman.
This is Les Grossman. Who is this?
This is Flaming Dragon.
Oh, okay, Flaming Dragon. Fuckface. First, take a big step back and literally fuck your own face!
That's what they should have said to every adaptation they've tried in every franchise when they were explained. You want lesbian force witches? No. No. But no, we did not have anyone say that.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
Something right. Yeah.
And while you're here, maybe click like and subscribe. Why not? Come back Saturday night, actually, because Saturday night's pretty wild. You guys don't want to miss that one.
I wish I was a special woman that could stay up for that.
We found AJ's dad last week, and that was a big night for all of us. So
it was touching.
Yeah.
By the way, Zach, real quick. Oh, sorry, Brett. Real quick, I wanted the difference of type of Star Trek stories we used to get because, especially, this is very topical about gender and all that.
Yeah.
There was an Enterprise episode called "The Progenitor," I believe, and where they go to a planet where there's 3 genders, one of which is required for the other 2 to be able to procreate. Great questions are answered about a bunch of different things, including like indentured servitude, slavery, gender, all the things. Done great. Doesn't tell you anything, just makes you think. And then you go to a Discovery where a non-binary lectures a gay man about pronouns.
Yes.
We missed something.
That must have been in the later season because I didn't watch that one.
Yeah. Oh, very interesting. I imagine go back. Great Trip episode. The actor for him is impact. Anyway, but just saying we lost all the nuance and questioning to just here it is.
Dude, that episode was that hurt. That was one of those episodes that ended in a bad way. Like the character the trip. The Enterprise. The trip
gets
one.
a little dark. Yes,
it gets extremely dark, and it explains the importance of the Prime Directive and everything. I mean, when you start to interfere with how a civilization does its business and all that. So
it was ironically about tolerance, right? And interference about other cultures. And it was one of those things where he thought they were mistreating, and this was something that even dates back to the pilot of Enterprise, because he's standing there. They're on this planet. They're on this planetoid, and he's witnessing this woman trying to wean her alien son off of the air or something like that, and he thinks that she's being abusive. He's like, "Lady, stop doing that." And to Paul, the Vulcan, is like, no, that's what they do. You have to wean them off in order for them to develop. So there's that same type of misunderstanding. A bunch of good little messages.
Yeah, that's always the many of those episodes are the crew is operating in incomplete information, and they may have all the best intentions, but the problem is they sometimes need to either recognize what they don't know or step the fuck back because it's different,
intentions.
but it doesn't mean that it's wrong.
Yeah.
I did want to I wanted to point out Blair to Blair saying the 3D printer is a replicator. Yes, that's exactly what a lot of the early guys that were working on 3D printers, when 3D printers were homebrew kits that everybody was putting together, the idea was to make the replicator in some way.
That's highly illegal, by the way. Sorry, what Bobby was just suggesting, that the cloning of yourself multiple times. And yeah.
Dude, did you remember that TNG episode with the cloning? I was thinking about that today. That was effed up. Like there was season 2 of TNG. There's the one with they bring aboard a bunch of Irish with their animals and all that. And then they go to this planet where these people are just like, they look
the
like
Irish
they're
are an
sick.
invasive species. Sorry.
Yeah, because they've cloned some of their
And
genetic makeup
they steal
crude.
so they go down to this planet where these people clone each other, and they need some additional bodies or some or DNA to clone, and they take the clone they clone like Riker and a whole bunch of the away team without their permission. What do? They come back, they find out, they come back, Riker literally vaporizes his clone. I was just like, I'm thinking about that tonight. I don't know if that's a good. I don't know if
there's a
good
couple. The
thing.
Harry Kim gets cloned, and he goes on in Star Trek Online. And there's and also there's Riker again gets. There's a whole thing about does
Harry
it kill
Kim
you
dies.
if it digitizes you, breaks you down, and then rebuilds you? Does that count as a death? And then
Yeah,
so
I
it
think
gets
so.
into some
Yes.
things there for sure.
That's crazy.
I'm not
You know
gonna
what's
test it.
crazy? I don't
transporter?
know. Okay, give me
The
your.
the transporter is a mass murder device
Yeah,
that
I
just
think it
happens
is.
to replicate something else, so everybody else doesn't realize the murders occurred.
That's what I liked about the beginning of Enterprise. They never used it because they were terrified of it.
Accurate.
And
Yes.
rightly so.
It's equivalent of getting splinched in Harry Potter, where like you'd get if not cloned, you get like put back with like a leaf that came with you or a little bug.
Oh,
Or you got
Yeah.
the ply. That was great. Yeah.
Yeah, there
Sorry,
was
lady.
there
I
was
was
Fly.
gonna say something.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, speaking of cloning and stuff, like, isn't it weird how like the initial story of like the eugenics wars and Khan and stuff has been like sort of forgotten?
Yeah.
In the new version, it's like that's an odd
Super
thing
relevant.
just to leave out. Yeah, right. In
Yes.
this day and age, and I'm like,
Well, that's why they
are
leave it out.
Like,
Yeah, there may be a reason they do that
rewriting it?
because they
Yeah.
call themselves progressives.
It's a little
wait,
too
I'm,
on the
wait,
nose.
what did
No,
they leave
it's
out?
like-
What-
The
what-
eugenics
they
wars.
really-
excuse
wars,
out.
super
Yeah,
soldiers.
they leave out the eugenics wars,
what?
and Khan doesn't seem like much of a super soldier. Like
They
like
skip
new
over the
one.
fact of
Yeah.
just how significant the eugenics war was and how the warlords basically just owned the earth. Every time it's
yeah.
depicted, it sort of just looks like, even when they do the flashbacks and they go in the 90s, it's like everything looks sort of normal. Like they don't really show that, like, basically
they-
the overlords
they
ruled
forget.
us for a while.
Yeah,
think-
and they don't really
I
Well,
think
it happened. It
touches on
happened
things
in.
they don't want to touch
It
on.
happened in Asia. It happened in Asia.
because they don't
Asia
want
and
to
the
talk
Middle East.
about they don't want to talk
Yeah.
about like genetic alterations and stuff because it's something that's happening now, I think, and they don't want people to
Yes.
think too many things about like recent events. And if you know, you know.
Exactly.
Oh,
I think, lady, that's exactly what it is.
I know. I was one thing that really struck me. I'm like, what word?
Well, but I think they're also very interesting, episodes where they discuss, the nature of humanity. The measure of a man is the classic one that everybody points to. Where the question is Data actually, does he have rights, or is he simply a machine? And the argument about that, right? TNG was so. I always look at the original series like literally on the Western frontier, where you're out there and it's you and nobody else. You're on your own, right? The Federation isn't large enough. There's not enough ships that you constantly can have support and all that. TNG is much more. Things have been settled. You're probably a territory now. You're not
High
quite
Republic.
a state. Yeah. Then you kind of move on and some of the, like, again, DS9 is essentially you're a fort in this kind of border area or whatever. But TNG, it ceases to be, because again, you're not in a continuous hostile environment. So there's a reason that you're there for exploration, for science, that
It's
you
a
have families,
hotel,
right?
basically, with kids and stuff.
And that a lot of the stuff that they do is diplomatic, right? But a lot of the discussions that go on in TNG start to, I think this is kind of where there's some mistakes that are made. They begin to turn back on themselves a bit, where you have at the end of the first season, the whole or was it the second? No, it was the first one, where you had the plot that was going on within Starfleet because of the parasite creatures that got them or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Then you have Drumhead, which is again
That's a
much
great
more,
one.
It's a great episode, but again, it's kind of turning back in on itself a bit. The story itself is great, but it's indicative of kind of what TNG did. It started to navel gaze a bit too much.
I wish we would get this. To just the spanners and like just scan me for fuck's sake with the tricorder. Don't do anything else evasive to me.
You don't have one of those fitness rings.
Yeah, just dial it up.
Oh, think beyond like hypo sprays. Hypo sprays are something that they've had already. Like they're going into hydrogel now, which is like basically you could just put a patch on yourself and delivers medications and vaccines.
Yep.
I don't know this side at all, so I don't know what is true here or not. But warp drive is something that is now possible and inspired by the show. NASA says that this completely functional or fictional concept could be actually possible. In recent years, the scientific community has become increasingly excited about the concept of a warp propulsion system.
To do with gravity and space time and shit and how they're connected, and relativity.
So the problem with warp drive, at least every scientifically legit explanation for it or whatever, basically involves the kind of power that you get from black holes. It takes huge amounts of power.
Yeah. Tractor beams.
Yep.
I know for sure the thing, if you ever hear about the heat ray that the government has, where they could just, it's like a microwave and it makes you feel like you have a sunburn, and that's straight out of Star Trek. And also, I know it's called Star Wars, but the Star Wars system was also sort of from Star Trek. It's the whole thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're saying they can move microscopic objects using graviton beams.
And phasers, we have that. If we shoot lasers to shoot down warheads all the time. I mean, you can't see it. It's not like the traditional phasers, but it is a directed energy weapon. Yeah.
Plus laser tag.
Laser tag. That was so fun back in the day.
Didn't that rule?
Yeah.
I miss laser tag.
Me too. Well, we weren't all fat because we all had to go outside. Go outside until the streetlights come on.
That's right. Tablet computers. Yep, this one you've already.
I know. I love this like 5,000 like iPads around. Like it's such a boomer.
Hypo spray. So this exists, I guess.
Yeah.
As you were saying,
it's way past that. Which is
this exists now. Those phones that real time will translate using AI, and they hear what we're saying, and vice versa.
Interesting experience.
I did use that actually when I was in Portugal to find out what people were talking, if they're talking about us.
Yeah,
actually
talking shit.
Yeah, and it does kind of work, but like it's hard to pick. You have to be close enough, and maybe my phone wasn't good enough.
It's going to start getting scary good.
And I mean, we know Facebook knows what I'm talking about all the time because they get ads for everything I mention on a show like this. So you must know that there must be a better system we can use to get the same thing. Because if they can do it, we should be able to do it.
And the ship AI is essentially Alexa or any of these.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just the wake word is computer, system. And then there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so products.
The tricorder.
Yeah, DNA lab. Okay.
Which is sort of like the tablet, but it's fancy medical tablet.
Right.
Well, and the number of sensors that you can buy now,
like Apple Watch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the number of sensors that you can integrate with phones and stuff now are pretty amazing.
And Apple Watch is sort of Dick Tracy too. We can't rob Dick Tracy of the telepresence we're doing right now. By the way, I think we're just talking to each other across view screens.
We are. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we don't like to do it that much, which is the thing that the future missed, is that we don't really want to be FaceTiming all the time. Like I don't want to talk on the phone unless I absolutely have to. And when you call me, I'm annoyed immediately. So
why are kids like that
in Star Trek, it is a thing to put them on screen or vice versa. And it's also a thing when they're doing it's just unverbal communication. It's just typing it or whatever. It shows, it sets a tone of who they're going to be interacting with. Yeah, replicators. There's food replicators that will 3D digitally print food with
Really?
meat sources.
Oh
No,
yeah!
it's
Oh my
not
god! If
pretty
you
What?
see
looking,
the meat
Yeah.
printers, that's
Yes.
horrid. Like what the
Yes.
hell?
Yeah,
This
well,
Meat-
meat was supposed to be
all
meat
meat
horrid.
printers?
printed meat.
Yeah.
It'll be
Yes!
because
Oh
they
my
found how
God,
to
it's
replicate,
horrid.
and then it
Yeah.
prints. Yeah, it's a whole thing.
It
I don't want that.
produces like
You wanna
this
make rib?
horrible like
No.
clone cells. You know what's really
You-
gross is this is totally satanic too. Is you can actually like clone your own like skin cells to make 3D printed meat.
That's a little
So it's
incestuous and
kinda- yeah,
cannibalistic.
it's weird. It's weird. It's
By the way,
evil
but even in
Hollywood
Star
crap.
Trek, it's noted in a lot of the canon that like replicated food, even if it's a perfect recipe, just tastes ever so slightly
always off.
different, always off, which is why you get a Neelix or you get a Cisco's father who has an in actual factual human sentient being restaurant. Because yeah, it's just a little different, not quite the same.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so here, this is 3D printed meat, and I don't want to eat that. And this is like a trick for Trudeau to make us eat the bugs. I think this is how this is going to all
Yeah.
work down.
It'll be like 3D printed like
They'll switch it over, and
stuff
eventually
that's
it'll be the
supposed
bugs
to
in
look
there.
like a shape.
Well, the
Yep.
problem is what they'll show you is this great 3D printed thing. What you'll actually get is just a glob, because it'll be like
Cat
going to
food.
McDonald's, the picture
prefer a
versus
rat
what
burger.
they actually get.
I'd be fine with rat burgers.
Seriously?
That's the reason we can't
Those
have
rat
Megatron
burger
as
I
gun.
ever had, you know. Yeah, this is disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do better. Well, we can improve on that. I don't think we have to follow that specific path.
Yeah, but again, I think that if you look at the reason that people start to pursue these ideas is they're already inspired by something that they saw.
It was a kernel, a
and
nugget.
they saw it
Right.
in TV.
Yeah. Earl Grey,
Communicators, yeah.
hot.
Did you guys know AJ would eat a dog?
What?
I always
die.
suspected it.
Yeah.
I'd rather die.
He has 6 dogs, and he's
Yeah.
he's a dog trainer, and we couldn't get him to take a stand against eating
Hey,
a
did
dog.
you-
He's like,
We're in that
50-50.
dog voting thing because I voted for him like twice.
he's in first again right now.
Okay, good.
And if he
they're-
wins, he gets to meet Caesar Milan.
That's cool.
They're missing one on this list.
What's that?
Oh, Goooch, what is that?
The uniforms, the tight uniforms. We would never have American gladiators.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
I'm sort of upset that the either Space Force and the Navy hasn't gone with a little bit more Star Trek
Yeah.
inspired. Just a little.
why wouldn't you?
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Having
and that-
seen the
did that
minimum
right.
fitness standards of the Navy recently,
Yeah, nobody wants to see them
Yeah.
in Lycra. Yeah, that's
Well, maybe they could change that.
I like the tunic that he wears. The tunic's the best one.
yeah.
I bet he was just like, I'm uncomfortable. Just give me a tunic.
Yeah.
Hello.
This is quality fashion back in the day.
Exactly.
Based.
Gooch is awake.
Mhm.
Gooch, yeah. Uh-oh.
We can't do this now, though, can we?
Come out
We could not have this.
today.
All of them? No, we can. No,
Chapel,
yeah,
let's
yeah.
go.
Yeah, I'm
You
not
can
as young
take
as I
the
once
left
was. I mean,
and
maybe
down,
10
take the
years
right.
ago.
Zax, you can't do the Folklorama tour one night. You gotta spread it
No,
over time.
no,
Yeah,
no.
no.
And the Jamaican Pavilions always sold out anyway, so you can't get in there.
Yes,
That's a
Talking about
Winnipeg
Bible
inside
study.
joke. Yeah.
We want Bible study with all of these lovely ladies.
Navy has the lowest standards. Does it? Does it?
I always
What's up,
thought it was
Adam?
the Air Force.
Coyote
National
Trek?
Guard, guys. Let's not.
Ooh.
Coyote Trek.
So
Shout
for
out
this,
to anyone that serves. Just kidding. Just
You're
kidding.
just starting to see the possible crossover opportunities here.
Yes.
I mean, not only
Again.
did they have like a multicultural cast, but like Aurora's hot as fuck.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those are all Gene Roddenberry for you.
Scotty looks so young.
Well, Michelle Barrett there is.
Oh yeah, and she goes obviously on to voice
Yeah.
Elcars, and then isn't
And of
she?
course,
Well, she's the
Deanna
voice of the
Troy's
computer,
mom?
and then in
Computer, yeah.
Elcars,
she's
the Elcars
yeah,
computer.
she's the mother of Troy in.
and there's
Odyssey.
our friend behind Spock.
Molly
Hello
Troy.
there.
She had
Hello
the
there.
good outfits like back in the day.
Oh, and
Where's the
apparently,
green
I Love
lady?
Lucy. Lucille Ball was instrumental in getting Star Trek made.
Yeah,
was
from
Desilu Production.
Productions.
She actually
That's
thought
right.
Star Trek was about stars, was about like movie stars. Not she had no idea what it
Trekking
was.
through Hollywood to find their houses. Would've been fun.
Really?
But they needed a show for the studio for Desilu because she had the majority share. Desi Arnaz sold it to
Thank
her.
you, Jenna.
So between that and Mission Impossible, she saw the potential in the Cage, which was the first pilot. So
Right.
she was the one that put in the word to NBC to have them make a second pilot.
Pike,
And that second
right? Not
pilot
even
was
William
the one
Shatner at
with
that
Gary
point.
Mitchell and the Silver Eyes, where no man has gone before, and then the rest is history.
Just look at George in the back. Well, hello.
Oh my.
Hello.
Yes.
Oh my.
Fucking laugh, George.
What do you think would have
You a
happened to these
frisky one.
actors? What will Shatner have done without this?
I think William Shatner would have been a A-list actor in the 70s and 80s.
He'd have done more cop movies and like, you know, TJ Hooker and shit like that, and he'd have gotten something.
No, I think he would have been a big star in the 70s and 80s.
Wasn't he doing stage work at the time? Before Star Trek? Am I wrong?
So he'd been in a few movies. So he was in Judgment at Nuremberg. He was in a Roger Corman movie that we played on B-sides where he drops the N-bomb like crazy.
Yep.
Also sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was in.
What was the name of that one?
I'm trying to remember what the name of that the Outsider. It's a Roger Corman movie where Shatner is a rabble rouser that comes into a town to
he's
stir up
great
some
in the
race,
practice.
fun.
Was he good? Have you seen that?
Dennis
great.
Crane.
Well, he was
American
he was definitely in Twilight Zone.
The other
for
one,
several
Boston.
episodes.
Yeah. That was cool.
But yeah, Shat was kind of
Boston
I'm not sure that he was really getting the traction that he wanted, and so he got this opportunity and ran with it. And he never really appreciated this one, I think, because he thought he got typecast, and we've seen that with other actors.
He
like
did
Mark
get
Hamill.
typecast. Him and DeForest Kelly. I mean,
Well, then we got T.J.
Nimoy was
Hooker
the
in
only
the
one that
80s, so you got that.
Yeah,
going for you.
but
that's why I was
throughout
saying,
the
that's why he's
I mean,
so
he was practically homeless in the 70s.
I want to say quick, thank you, Hypno, and thanks for coming back, and thank you for the raid. That was amazing, dude. Very much appreciate that. And you.
That's right.
Unsubbed you, huh?
He was in Gunsmoke.
Sneaky
I knew
buggers.
And
this is
Twilight Zone, though, isn't it? He's on the plane. There's something out there.
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
wing.
it's
2 episodes.
yeah.
He was
but
in that
I want to
one,
put
yep.
this up because
The Gremlin.
this is diversity the way it should be.
Yes.
Yes, of sizes, of cups, of
Yeah.
hairstyles,
Mm-hmm.
all the
Different colors,
melanation.
different levels of hot.
Yes,
It's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the top, the one on top in the middle, I don't know how Roddenberry I don't know how they got away with that, but that is like the best.
Oh yeah.
That was a
I love that he tried though. Like they
And
wouldn't
what's-
try this now.
And what's funny was in that particular episode, that was one where Major Barry Christine Chappell is going to see her fiance down on this planet, and she instead of seeing him, she walks out of the room and she's like, "What the fuck is this? What the hell's going on here, Roger?"
There's going to be some bullshit up in here.
Yeah, and without Star Trek, we would not have the guy who super chats daily and has Ryan RK Outpost sing the classics or speak the classics like Shatner. So that right there,
Rocket
that
Man
right
by
there's worth the
Shatner.
price. Yeah, Rocket. Exactly. I'm sorry,
Oh,
it made
yeah.
me think of his speaking songs.
And Nimoy was a singer, I think, too, or
Yeah.
Yeah,
musician of some kind.
They both were. They both put out albums in the
Bilbo
70s.
Baggins,
Yeah.
the greatest little hobbit of them all. That was Nimoy.
Lucy in the sky with diamonds.
Or you know what's funny? Like William Shatner's like a novelist too, and my mom really likes his books.
The Tech War
Mhm.
series.
Nice. Ironically, if you bring that picture back up,
Yeah, of course I will.
it's wild to me to think that Star Trek is almost a victim of its own success in a way, in that the Roddenberry Institute is now probably the wokest of the institutes in Hollywood as far as putting out your white papers and your essays saying it's inappropriate to dress women like this.
Rod, you
They
little
were
bitch.
emancipated.
Yeah, so I
The
just
Next Generation, there was dudes wearing dresses in the beginning. Oh, if you don't see in the very beginning, they're wearing the one piece. I forget. There's a word for it. A
What?
mirt or a skirt or something like that. There's a word for the man skirt in the Next Generation. But yeah, they had both. Wear whatever you want. You can wear short shorts.
I know it's really funny. I was looking at the Wikipedia entry for that, and it's saying like, we look at this today and say this is awful and this is sexism stuff, but women of the time didn't think it was that, and that the mini skirt was actually a sign of female emancipation. So it's like, I'm kind of surprised to see it in there, but yeah, like what's wrong with that? Like why is it so controversial to say that maybe women like to see themselves being reflected as being sexy and desirable? Maybe women appreciate other women, okay? Like yeah.
The outfit is called a scant if you're a man and you wear the TNG skirt.
You know what?
So
That was
scant.
funny. It reminded me of this. I was just randomly watching it one day, like back in the day, and I was like, there's a dude running around in the background
Encounter
with
at
a skirt.
Farpoint.
Yes,
Yeah,
Encounter
yeah.
from Farpoint. It's like some Asian guy, and he's just like wearing a skirt.
It's pretty funny.
Like, okay.
You can get the outfit in Star Trek Online, and oddly enough, I never see any players wearing it. I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I would definitely.
I feel like there's still some
Christina
women
Hendricks
who appreciate looking like this.
Yeah.
But Brian has to go. No, Pearl has got to get out of here. So thank you, Brian. I'll put you on solo. Tell me what you're doing. What's going on? How can people find you?
Yeah, my channel's Incorporeal Lifeform. I've been doing some Chilporial streams every week with guests talking, just shooting the shit. This Friday, I'm going to have Price of Reason on. We're going to be talking about the culture war and all that. So definitely tune in for that. And yeah, I do have to get some video retrospectives out. I've been needing to get back to doing my 2001 Space Odyssey one. So yeah, that one takes a lot of research and a lot of concentration, so which I've been too lazy to do, so that's something I gotta get back into and others. So but yeah, man, Zach, thanks for having me on. I love talking Star Trek, and yeah, it's been a blast. It's changed my life. I mean, it's literally like, it's for someone that didn't have a whole lot of friends growing up, this kind of showed me that, especially Star Trek 3 is what really sold me into the franchise, because the fact that Kirk and the rest of them went back for Spock on Genesis, and there was a price to be paid.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, a lot of people say Search for Spock is the lesser of Wrath of Khan, which is true, but it's still to me, it's still a solid movie, and I think it's still one of the best ever, and it's what got me into it. So, but yeah, man, thanks guys. Good talking to you all, and good seeing you, Lady B, Alex, all you guys, and chat. You guys are awesome.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian. Take care.
Thanks for showing up, man.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. So I guess as much as you're right, it is. It's an issue with people today would not be okay wearing these outfits. It's still cosplay. Like, there's women who look good in them, like to wear it, and they work hard to look good in it, and that's what they choose to do. And so I don't know, the universal finger wagging and stuff like this is it's a bit much for me.
Me too.
Yeah, but I also think it goes even a step further than that, in that, you look at a lot of the examples of, everybody points to Uhura, but it's almost, it's one of those things, there's no breaks to progressivism, where now we've reached the point where there's, the same institute that was proud of itself of putting on Uhura, justifiably so,
right,
now has the, your checklist of, oh, you don't have, a gay trans Asian on your bridge, your show can't go forward.
Right.
I think you always have to separate so there was no Roddenberry Institute when Star Trek was being made. It was Gene Roddenberry, working from his desk, and with a lot of institutes that are established because rich famous person died or something like that. What follows is generally bureaucracies tend to get captured, and then they almost become antithetical to the original ideas of the founders. I mean, go look at what the Ford Foundation does, and tell me that Henry wasn't going to horsewhip everybody in there if they were doing it in his name. Carnegie, Rockefeller, all of these institutes have just become piles of cash that attract graft and grifters, and so there they are.
Oh,
yeah, definitely.
Thank you, Josh. Smash the like button. And Angry Badger, I see what you did there. I see what you did there. I see. Thank you, dude. Thank you so much. That's you didn't have to do that. That's
yes. Thank you.
That's very generous.
Very sneaky. You very sneaky. You very sneaky.
You slid it in there. Just
the tips.
10 new members. What kind of? I got to play you a clip. Even though you don't need one, but wishing everyone good night, sweet dreams. Have a great cheese pizza day. Another wonderful Star Trek day. Okay.
Thank you, Rose.
A great cheese pizza day. What Josh said? What?
Well, you got a super chat.
Those are fighting words.
Oh,
Josh.
Star Trek is gay. Disney Star Wars is where it's at. Now, if you don't know Josh, he's my favorite gay. So we let him do some things like that. And Disney Star Wars, that's actually that could be a good what if, is what if Disney didn't buy Star Wars or Marvel?
Yeah, it would be interesting.
It would all be good.
See what's blossoming from the what if.
Yeah, you know
Star
what?
Wars
If
might
Disney
have a
didn't
word
buy
to
Star
say.
Wars, J.J. Abrams would have never made that like Star Wars movie and would have never gotten the job to get like Star Trek.
Well, I did Star Trek first.
Oh, he did Star Trek first, or
yeah,
well,
and-
whatever. If he didn't get the Star Trek job, he wouldn't get the Star Wars job. Yep.
Well, so the thing is that people tend to have this mental cloud that erases how annoyed people were with Lucas owning Star Wars, and that when Disney first bought them, it was like, oh, good, that finally we're going to get some good content or whatever. Oh, we were sadly misinformed and incorrect. But yeah, Lucas had burnt a lot of bridges when he was owning it.
Josh, this is for you.
I have a few gay friends, and they're over 18. I have no problem with it. And once again, if you're 18 and over, that's your decision. That's your decision. But do not push it on my children, because kids can't even learn how to brush their teeth. They don't want to put on deodorant, or they don't want to wipe their own ass the right way unless you show them the right way. Now, all of a sudden, you're going to teach my children how to be a sexual predator, and I'm going to say that because most are.
Well, thank you, Tito. Thank you, Tito, for that wisdom.
So you got that going for you, Josh.
Another gift that keeps on giving.
It is. Tito gives, and then this is for Badger 10. Thank you very much. This is more Tito. We love Tito around here.
So, as I always growing up, is don't ever do juice, as in steroids, right? Chelsea gets popped for a juice cocktail. So people want to say, so how, and the question was, so how do I think this fight's going to turn out? I said, well, let me go ahead and find Chell for you. So the best acronym I can think of that is a juice box. Juice box being Chell Sonnen. And it was no more than that, because he is a juicy juice boy. He likes to do his dabble in his little steroid stuff, and hopefully they do test us, which I know they will test us. They test us on all of our fights. But that just shows a sign of weakness. And a sign of weakness is him being full of juice. He's a juice box, he's a juice boy, and that's why that juicy juice box came into the camera frame.
Yeah, you can see the acronym. I mean, it's obvious. Come on,
Right
Badger.
there.
It's right there.
It's clear. And he makes these and then he releases it. Like, here's my take on Chelsea.
Got him.
Yes, got him. Exactly, got him.
I respect it.
No, that's not how it works. But Tito has had a lot of CTE. And so we give him some things like it's okay that he thinks gays are all sexual predators. I mean, whatever.
Let's be clear. Tito was not that bright before he got hit in the head. No.
That's a fact. Yeah. What's up, Harley Dave? Been a minute. That's a nice suit. Yeah, it is a good suit. Can't argue with that. B Mozart's here. All right. So one more thing I want to get into with this topic for tonight is I'll start with you, Badger, me on this one. If you were to start a Star Trek series, what would be, how would you want to like, do you have a time when you want to place that? Do you have an idea of what kind of story you'd want to tell with that? I know I just dropped this on you right now, but
no, because I was thinking there was a couple of them, but I'm actually going to merge them together. So I think it would be great if we jumped far into the future, but unlike what Gene Roddenberry wanted to do, which basically turned out to be that Andromeda show of like, and then they sort of ripped it off again for Discovery. I would do something of like, man, we've united all the quadrants, alpha, delta, beta, gamma. Everything is peaceful, and if not part of the Federation, something, and then going to a new, an entirely new galaxy, and yeah, basically tell a modern, more updated, but without the fucking modern audience part, like just with all the tech that we have, and maybe make it smaller, more focused, character based in a new galaxy, so they're cut off from any help or any Federation, sort of like Enterprise, but with like the newer model ships.
Right. Was Voyager, they were lost, were they not?
They were lost. That's the point. This would be on purpose.
Oh,
This
okay.
would be more exploration, fun, and wouldn't be them stuck in what they at the time was a horrible, the Gamma or Delta rather, and then Borg and all this. I'm thinking more just an entirely new galaxy with.
Go back to the
I
frontier.
I got a
style.
question.
Yes.
So, Star Trek, they explore space, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, they explore our Milky Way galaxy, split up into 4 different quadrants. Yeah.
Okay. So like in Alien, we see them using those sleeping pods, cryogenic sleeping pods. Do they need that for Star Trek or no? Like, why?
No.
What's the difference?
Warp
I think
drive.
well, so generally the idea is that warp travel is because you're traveling faster than light. Alien, I believe you're traveling at light speed or below.
Let's be honest. This everyone calls it hard. It is, but it ain't as hard as actual reality and the concepts of time dilation. And so,
right
in reality, probably wouldn't work that way as far as
Right.
time and aging. But and that's just not fun if you put like they go out far enough and 1,000 years have gone by on Earth. That just it has to be like they're shipping out and it's months. But so yeah,
Well, so there's a
it's close
cheat.
enough.
There's a
It's cheap.
in that.
Yes.
Well, in that if you travel at or near the speed of light in space, right, then you have time dilation problems. However, because of the warp bubble, you're actually like opting out of space time, and so you don't have the same effects when you travel.
Yeah, I'm more thinking of forgive the mentioning of it, but the interstellar type thing of different planets and gravity and farther out and black holes and that type of shit.
Right.
But some would say it's wrong. Who knows? I'm no scientist, but I play one on TV sometimes. No. Star Trek is
Hey,
about
John.
as hard, and Battlestar Galactica about as hard as sci-fi as I want to go. Where
Yeah.
it's still fun, makes sense, can basically be backed up, but doesn't
Yeah,
write
otherwise
into
you
a
get like
corner.
For All Mankind, which again is an interesting
show,
story, but you are very limited. The one that ended up on Prime.
The Expanse.
The
I watched,
Expanse.
yeah.
Yeah,
so I
The
watched For All
Expanse
Mankind,
is a good hard science. You're stuck within the solar system, but then you get oogie boogie bullshit materials and all that.
Yeah, time dilation is brutal in other books. It seems like annoying. Sorry, Zach.
No. I was gonna go.
Yeah, Free Body Problem actually deals with that pretty well.
That shit's
mostly in
depressing.
books.
It's depressing because I think it's what is reality.
Yes.
Anytime life exists and is sufficiently advanced, goes, nope.
Yep. Yep.
Go back down.
I was watching that. I watched that series and the Netflix version, and for like 3 episodes, I'm like, okay, this could be cool. And then, holy shit! At the end of that, the last couple were just painful for me to watch.
Yeah, I read the Wikipedia. Great concept, 100,000 years spanning, but it's so depressing because I think that's exactly what would happen.
Yeah,
for the most part, and I hate that. Sentient light, ultimately, sentient light. That's why Star Trek is so great, right? Because it does the opposite of what probably is out there. No, great societies.
No,
not
it's great. We're
immediately-
all
yeah.
generally within, a few centuries or so technology-wise and all
I
that.
know.
Yeah, no.
Well, that is one thing we see now, even with our own disclosures, that maybe we can assume that just because they can do one thing that does appear to be super advanced doesn't mean they've got all the advancements,
Right.
even though it is probably highly likely. But,
Well, and I think you also have like hard limits that eventually you run into the laws of physics, and they're pretty brutal.
yeah. Laws of physics don't fuck around.
Yeah,
Unless you
I
need
wanted
them
to add something, and I know this
Yeah.
sort of doesn't fit into the sort of conversation, but I felt like it's worth noting because we're like, what if? And being
Yeah.
the industry sort of person, I just wanted to say Star Trek had some important things. One, it's like I still think it's an excellent example of a serialized drama, and that was more like typical for the time period, is that they didn't have the episodic content, and I think it's a great example of that. So for its genre, it's good for that. And then the other thing that it did too, and I think like Brian mentioned this, is that it was really like a successive syndication. And syndication is when you would make a TV series and then it would have X amount of episodes, and it was usually like 24 series, which is interesting because you get like, and I keep mentioning this, like an original series would be picked up for like a season, and then it would be like 24 episodes. And the streaming kind of model has gone back to 3 seasons of 8 episodes. So it's sort of like the same thing. which is interesting. But yeah, Star Trek is one of the longest, if not the longest, running syndicated television series, and all of the parts of it have been syndicated, and it's still running now. And I think it's awesome that so many people can keep watching it and they keep showing it. I mean, we love it. I've seen it. Me and my brother watch it sometimes. Like even my brother years ago started watching Enterprise, and he's sort of like,
I want to say Gunsmoke is actually the oldest and is still going, but it has to be Star Trek and then Bonanza. And
so as like a business model, I think that's pretty interesting. That's sort of a way you could create something and chop it around, which is kind of interesting to bring it back to what's happening now with specific streaming services, especially when you're looking at specific genre stuff. Like maybe Nadia knows this, but I remember when I was in film school, we were looking at streamers that were like, okay, this is a subscription streaming service, but it's just for a specific genre. And I think one of the most successful ones was like a horror movie one. And that's all they would do is like you would sort of pick up content and license it or whatever to that. So sort of like syndication, and all of the streaming services do that now. So on a business side and the kind of production side, it really set the standard for some things that happen later. So I just think that's interesting. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Well, yeah, TNG was again,
there you go, ladies.
It was made.
Oh hell yeah! Oh yeah!
It was made intentionally to be in syndication as a distribution model. That's it. It wasn't tied to a network, and so they didn't really necessarily have to operate on the same model that they had to do, in the original series when they were a network series, and the network decides when you're going to be and you're stuck there or whatever. When you're in syndication, you're on multiple channels. The time slots can be different.
Yeah.
And so you can find success how you find it.
Sorry.
Well, the funny thing is that what you see now from streaming is more of a BBC model of their idea of series, where it's 8 episodes. That's it, and then we move on to the next year. Whereas, when TNG or TOS were out, it's 24, 26 episodes a season.
Yeah. Then I miss those days.
Ronald D. Moore, who did Battlestar Galactica, used to write for TNG, and he said when he talked to Patrick Stewart, he just said the captain should get laid more.
I know that was another thing with the writing too. Like, what was interesting about Star Trek too was they had a bunch of different writers for all the shows, and I think it's amazing considering how many writers they had on these things that they could have a coherent show. But another thing that I remember Star Trek being really cool for on a writing thing was
for Josh and maybe AJ.
Hell yeah, let's go. But
is this the guy you had a crush on? Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah. Is that Dr. Bashir? Yeah, it's those river. That's what I thought. And I'm like, he looks familiar. Those dreamy ass river sandals.
In the game, he grows up. He becomes the head of Starfleet Medical. So there you go. He gets somewhere.
I need a doctor in my life. But yeah, like
Bashir.
With the writing and stuff, and Star Trek was a show where it's like there were fans that wrote episodes of it, and so it was like really sort of a like you could get involved with this, and I think that's cool.
Well, and if you look at
that's really cool.
That was the benefit of it being episodic, but here is the world, right? You're operating within this world, and here are main characters. That's it. Do what you do, right? And if you look at the original series, so many classic sci-fi authors wrote episodes.
Totally.
For Star Trek, right? And then you kind of see it again with TNG, and TNG really kind of allows an explosion of sci-fi in the late 80s and 90s. Babylon 5,
they got the Gould
Stargate,
symbols.
all of that, right? All of those things they exist because of Star Trek.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, Boosh got me to go look at this one episode of this The Pleasure Planet.
Oh yeah.
Riza, and so I'm finding all these, and
what
they're
is
like,
this?
I mean, I don't know. That's
I'm telling you, Goooch, you might like some of the episodes.
Oh, you definitely want to go to Riza.
Yeah,
you definitely.
We would have far less astronauts. Almost all the astronauts mention Star Trek as a source of inspiration. Like, obviously.
Well, and Uhura was actually used by NASA to recruit black astronauts and people in the space program.
I'm not kidding. If Space Force had fucking space, and they were like, "Come on, we'll recruit you in. It's a thing." I would join in a second. I want to travel to the stars.
Yeah.
Even if all we find out there is darkness and blackness and silence and death, bones, radiation belts or whatever, a horrible alien species that as soon as they detect a threat, I don't care. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's Mass Effect this bitch.
I mean, this is
I
a
love
bit much.
it.
That's
that guy is so like sunburnt.
Imagine, I was thinking, can you imagine his tan lines? It's Professor X.
It's rough.
Yeah.
Patrick Stewart and Dune.
Well, and I think, you know,
American
from
Gladiator.
a cultural standpoint, you know, the generation prior to me
American Gladiator
gets to see us go from, you know, launching, you know, just basic satellites to landing on the moon, having men walk on the moon, right?
Yeah.
And then fuck all, right? We go back to just playing around in low Earth orbit, you know, and not really establishing or whatever. And so the substitute for that, where you saw the lack of ambition in the space program, you could at least see Star Trek and all this stuff and say, okay, maybe one day we get there and this is what we start doing, right?
Yeah.
Because
And
God knows we weren't going to do it in reality during that time.
That radiation belt. Oh, sorry, Gooch, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. So Badger.
Van Allen belt.
You're gonna say that we apparently fucked up by testing a couple nukes out there that trapped, if you believe the thing, and as opposed to the aliens just told us not to come back, that we trapped a bunch of radiation up there from testing nukes, took out a bunch of satellite dishes, and that's why they don't try to go through.
There's some ripped ladies in this. Her jaw was a bit sus, though, I would say.
So I got a question for you. Like, so we had a really strong progression with technology. Do you think we just like hit like a plateau and we just like are going backwards with like development in
Focused
that
on the
field?
wrong things?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Did you see Counterpart, the show Counterpart, where there's two with J.K. Simmons, where
I need to
one
watch
Earth,
it, though.
One
Yeah,
Earth has
yeah,
a plague, and so they focus on medical technology, but they still are walking around with flip phones. We have focused on that. We can't cure cancer. Well, maybe some things, but you know what I'm saying. But we've got all the tablets and all the fancy little smartphones. We just.
Oh, I think we
what
could
do you
cure
put your money
cancer.
on?
Just politically.
Politically.
Yeah, that would
Control
ruin the
system here.
big business. I get you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we also could do Star Trek, all the things, and have all the spaceships with the energy, but they got it under lock and key too. My point is, it just depends on what you're focused on. And yeah, Gooch, we don't focus on any of the cool shit.
Well, so I think what you've had in tech is similar to what you see in a lot of industries. So, you know, when we were growing up, there were a ton of small companies doing all kinds of things, right? And so you had this huge amount of competition and innovation in order to differentiate yourself, and everybody kind of had their own vision about what they were going to do, and it succeeded or failed in the market. What you have now is you hit a certain maturation of the tech, and it became, you know, again, the idea that the future's here, it just is unevenly distributed, right? It is now evenly distributed for a lot of these levels of tech, and innovation gets up and walks away once you start consolidation, because then they are essentially looking to hold market share, and they don't have any real competition that can come up because their size is enough to protect them, that and any kind of regulation that they can get as a barrier to entry. So the innovations that are going to come in the future, it's going to be interesting to figure out what it is.
Video games will get us the holodeck, dude. We already have the omnidirectional treadmills,
right?
You know what I'm saying, and the suits that make you feel vibration or nerve. You know,
yeah. I mean, look at Facebook.
haptic
Facebook
feedback.
buys a guy, you know, in his garage, trying to make a VR headset that he decides to go on GoFundMe and get funded for. And Facebook decides to buy it and then creates the whole Meta VR stuff and all that. The problem is that with a lot of technology, too early and don't really know what the application is, right?
Yeah.
Or like-
Ready Player One is coming though, where we'll put that shit on. Reality, like the Matrix, will be almost indistinguishable. You'll be able to gain various levels of clout, just like online, way easier than in the real. And that's going to be a whole nother level of fun.
Yeah, if you
I know it's kind of interesting to think with like the Star Trek universe. It's like, is that kind of innovation available with this sort of like control, like with governments and stuff that we have? Like, could people innovate with all of the regulations, with all of the money going into stuff, versus if you had a total free market, could you have more of that kind of stuff? Which I think is interesting, because it's like, the whole concept of Star Trek is this giant like overarching control system, and it's like what is it like to live on a ship where you have like basically it's Alexa, like everything knows where you are. Like
holodeck addiction and holo novel addiction is a solid fucking thing. I think the twitchy guy that is always doing stuff in I forgot his name, but yeah, it's a solid thing that people fight because why? If you first of all, if you're in Star Trek, and if all you want to do is Reginald Barkley.
Yeah, Reginald Barkley.
If all you want to do is mess around and get your state,
good night, thank you.
Socialist communist shit for sure, but it's fine because we've got free stuff.
It's like I like Star Trek, but the more I think about it, the more it freaks me out.
It's because there's no money unless you get into dilithium crystals, which is a universal thing. But basically, if all you want to do is chill out and hang out in the holodeck, you can do that. You'll get an apartment that's great and all your food taken care of, and it's a basic living. But the whole point is everything's so good, and because it's meritocracy, people want to achieve their best life. Just like, you're not getting paid, you want to achieve the height on streaming or whatever.
But you got to think like there's only so many positions in Starfleet.
Gooch.
If you're not doing Starfleet, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm glad I started thinking about this.
There's other organizations besides Starfleet, and there's other cultures. You never know, but also Starfleet is the whole fucking Milky Way galaxy. We underestimate just how huge it really would be because it's a smaller scale shows. But there'd be it is sort of like everyone would just choose to be Jedi. Everyone would choose to be Starfleet so that they could go off and experience. But there's people that they just want to turn on their stories and hang out and do the basics of life, and they will always exist. And that's what I think a lot of people that stay on Earth just hang out while the experiencers, the people, the adventurous spirit. What is over the next hill and valley? They join Starfleet.
Yeah, you have the vast majority of people are like agrarian society, right? They're happy to operate under a set schedule. That there's little surprise in life. You do the things or whatever, right? The hunter-gatherer kind of mentality. Those are the ones that always push the envelope. That go out and try something and kind of drag everybody along with them, right? And even in societies that are heavily locked down, right? East Germany, the Soviet Union for the time. You still had people who were pushing on the edges, trying to do the things, running black markets, right? The drive is always there, and the idea of Homo Sovieticus, that you can make a new man, for the Soviet ideal, it's bullshit, right? Humans are humans. We've been humans for a good long time, and we are not going to stop being humans.
Yeah. Hey, can I just respond to Adam real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah. Jedi fuck. They're allowed to have sex. They're just not allowed to have attachments. There's many examples of Jedi having the sex.
That's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah. No
they get a license to drop it like it's hot.
I want to be a Jedi so bad.
I know you do. That's what I'm saying. You know that Ki-Adi-Mundi had like 9 wives just to get to go home. He had a low birth rate on
I
this planet.
forgot that. And they gave him like some special.
So they gave him a special dispensation. Yeah, and then Anakin basically was
like,
like,
no, breed.
We're allowed to have sex. We just can't be attached.
Oh,
just saying.
That's so beautiful when you say that.
Sorry, honey, I'm not allowed to spend the night. My job won't. I can bang you. I just can't spend the night or develop.
And you can see how that hooks right in with the donatology. I mean, it's perfect in that way.
Yeah.
You see cake, you can have cake.
Oh, what's that, Obi-Wan? I gotta go, dear.
But I didn't tell you about Ahsoka. Yeah.
It's not you. It's not me. I can't have attachments. It's the way it is.
I'm sorry, honey. It's just the laws of the Force.
And I think one of the things that Star Trek, in most of its guys, is not the faux skinwalker,
the real
Trek
Star
or whatever,
Trek.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, real Star Trek. The idea is, the technology is there, but you always need to have humans around because we have capabilities that you simply can never reproduce with technology. Right.
Which until you get to like you mentioned Measure of a Man, but the other one is the Doctor from Voyager, which I love. Robert Picardo,
he's great.
And he eventually does win proprietary rights of his hollow projector, because that is essentially his body, even if it gets eventually used to create it. It's the whole thing about what is life, right? If data can be a boy real, then maybe a hollow program, if left running long enough.
Right, so it's one thing to decide what is sentient and has rights, right? Turing.
Yeah, I always think that's interesting. Right? I think Star Trek does a really good job of making that with like
Terminator is why I want to see have that debate. I'm sorry, Goooch. I'm sorry. It's that was my complaint to him about Terminator 0. I was like, I feel like I've seen these debates done in other things and done better.
What are you talking about? You got it in Salvation. I mean, you had the idea. What is a man? Oh boy, Salvation. That was clearly the best part of that movie.
it is a good story of that it does work no matter where you do it, though. That debate of what is a human, what is sentience,
Right.
what is life.
Yeah.
Goooch, you want to hit me? Go ahead. Say
Do it.
Do it right here.
Nah, I can't hit my baby badger.
Thank you. I'd go. My teeth would just be like Oberyn.
So, like, did you guys talk about what if like the original series didn't exist? Would it still be popular? Like, yeah, okay.
Oh no,
What's
we
the
talked
general
about
concept?
if Star Trek or it didn't exist at all is what we talked about.
If it doesn't exist, then the science fiction would still exist.
Yeah.
I don't know that it would be as broadly accepted.
If Star Trek Voyager came out first, we'd be talking about it like a Farscape or some obscure sci-fi thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But do you think that would have made other sci-fi more successful? Like, would BSG the first time around have been canceled so soon if it wasn't competing? Because once you start having sci-fi on TV, you are competing against each other to an extent. And Star Trek has driven and held the lion's share of that attention basically forever with the different versions of it. And so everything goes up against it. And if not for that, would you see more inventive sci-fi that's come up that we have not yet seen? Because Star Trek kind of owns that space. And even now it's diminishing returns with Star Trek, but there's still always Star Trek on TV. They're still always creating Star Trek, spending money on Star Trek, and it's not succeeding, but that may be hurting other sci-fi that wants to come on TV. Because even a little while ago, we had like Dark Matter was on. That was Killjoys. Other different like sci-fi was being tried, and BSG obviously the reboot, and it's kind of seems to be fading away.
Well, I think there's a reason for that, and part of it is that you have bad writing, but B, the idea of techno optimism has really got up and left the building. That we have. We now have a much more negative view of technology, and for good reason. That we are, things that when you saw it in Star Trek, you saw kind of the everybody had gone through the birthing pains and had now kind of set it and got it. We are in the situation right now where we have not yet figured out how to properly master and segment technology within our own lives, let alone in the larger sphere, right? The fact that I watch adults constantly looking at their phone like it's a fucking Tamagotchi, that it made a noise, I must do a thing, right? Yeah, you got to feed it, otherwise it'll die, right? That the people who are creating the user interfaces and creating the software hire and have on staff addiction specialists, not people to make sure you're not addicted, to actually addict you, right? Zynga was the first company that I encountered that had addiction specialists actually in the for Farmville and Mafia Wars and all that stuff, right, for the Facebook games.
Or just knowing that like that sort of social networking computer systems are created by intelligence agencies to like manipulate human behavior is just awful. It's like I do miss the optimism. But,
right, but part of that is a lack of self-control on our part, because again, you're offered an addictive substance. Do you consume it or do you not? Right, so the choice is yours. So the problem is that right now, everybody doesn't recognize that it's an addictive substance, and so they just go diving through. Are you gonna fall out from that? Sure, but that's true for almost any technology that gets introduced. Is we have to kind of fight our way through the birthing pains and the getting it settled and then figuring out its appropriate slot. And until we do that, especially right now, where technology and its impact on behavior and how we communicate and how we interact, it is at such a fundamental level of our social interaction that there is going to be some problems with that, and people are going to have negative views. But again, think back to when original Star Trek came out, 66, 67, 68. This is a time of ridiculous social upheaval. And yet there was still someone writing this optimistic view of, we can get through this, we can get a handle on it, and let's go. Yeah. I think our
but there was also
no, go ahead.
No, sorry. There was also like 3 or 4 channels only. Like nowadays we have there's so much competition. We're flooded with like we got streaming, we still have TV. I don't even know who watches regular TV anymore, but like there's just, you have to really go dig to actually look for it if you're actually like wanting to watch sci-fi. So I think like that's the problem too. I totally agree with what you're saying, but like it's not really it's an option. Like it is, but it isn't. Like when growing up, it was we had like 3 or 4 channels, and it was like either watch Star Trek or watch church on
Right.
TV.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's exactly what I said earlier too. Those were our choices.
So like you wanted to watch Star Trek, and that got the creativity going and the juices flowing in your head and the dopamine rush. Nowadays, there's just so much, and plus the internet. Like it doesn't give that thrill for, especially for young kids and
Right.
for anyone wanting to look for it. So
Right.
Badger,
Again,
you're smirking.
Well, I think
You said
go ahead.
something that Rat shamed me for one time, and I just want to tell him that you said the same thing because it'll make him. Instead of nowadays, you said now and days, and I said it once, and he had a fucking
Ooh.
meltdown. I just want him to know that I'm not alone anymore.
Yeah,
I'm not
well,
alone
we are
anymore.
brothers, so
That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
That's funny. I feel like I need to answer the question though, like what would we have without Star Trek, and just go taking it back to a more artistic level. Is that what would the genre of science fiction look like without Star Trek? And it's like, what would you get? You get more of the like adventure stories.
No, you'd get more Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, I'm saying adventure stories.
The
That's what I
original
mean. Like you're
Battlestar,
not going
right.
to get the more futuristic stuff because it was all like robots and stuff. It's just I feel like Star Trek was so instrumental for kind of setting up the genre. It's like, would you even have someone thinking of doing something like Battlestar Galactica or something like that? Like it's
I think we would see
literally
more
everything
Flash
that's thought
Gordon.
of.
I think Flash
yeah,
Gordon
yeah,
would be
yeah. You'd
a
see
bigger,
more like pulpy stuff. And
yeah, because like
interesting.
I think Star Wars killed Flash Gordon. I think Star Trek and Star Wars
I think
definitely
so.
killed Flash Gordon. Even Alien, like because the Alien came out before Flash Gordon, because Flash Gordon came out in 1980.
80.
I mean, there's the old radio show, but
Right.
I mean, but like, yeah, I think we would have had more Flash Gordon. I think that would have been one of those.
I think
pulpy
you would have.
things
I
that-
think you would have had things in the style of like Buck Rogers in the 23rd century, or you would have had, because that was a TV show that ran for 2 or 3 seasons in the early 80s. Battlestar Galactica. You may have had. It may not have been Flash Gordon in name, but you would have
Right.
had things like that. And again, it's more that pulpy space fantasy adventure kind of thing, rather than a more hard science fiction that you got with V in the
Right.
80s, right? That miniseries was. I
Yeah.
don't know that you have V if you don't have Trek. Maybe you do because of Twilight Zone and the Outer Limits and things like that. That was really your only other real hard, and even those were hit and miss, right? But you would have episodes in Twilight Zone or Outer Limits that were hard science fiction.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like Chase says, you get Jules Verne science fiction. I think you probably get more of the fantasy influenced science fiction, like Star Wars, like Dune, that kind of thing. It's kind of interesting.
Dune.
I'm just wondering, do we think there's a market-based argument that had we not gotten Gene Roddenberry's Star Trek, we would have gotten something similar in a way, a military exploratory based thing that kind of just slots right into that niche in the market, and we're not notably different?
There's no unique ideas anymore. Someone would have come up with something similar. Like there was never any. That was the whole point. Is what you say, Jay? You said at one time, all ideas are fucking orphans or whatever.
Yeah,
we
Yeah,
all.
it is more than orphans.
It is. Someone would have thought of it eventually. It's not. It would have looked maybe different, and it would have come in a different form, but it would have maybe probably filled in all the same spots, like you said.
Well, I mean, so the question is, remember that the original series failed.
Right.
It was going to be canceled after the second season. It was only because fans, 100,000 people wrote letters that had a third season, and that third season was pretty underfunded, and they changed the time slot and screwed it anyway, and it died. the reason that Trek exists and has the following that it does is because of the syndication.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I think that the audience for hard science fiction is initially fairly small.
It's cross country too, by the way, because it's international, right? You've got all the different ethnicities
Yeah,
and
exactly. But the more that you're exposed to it, the more that you see it or whatever, right? It needs multiple opportunities to hook you, because what it can't do is initially look pew pew and big muscly guy comes swinging in and saves big breasted woman and yaha and all that, right? That doesn't exist, and so it's hard for an audience that isn't pre-primed to look for hard science fiction. It is hard to get them into it to begin with, but the reason that Trek was able to do that is it just kept being exposed to people, and they knew that there was a small dedicated fan base, and so sure, put it on syndication because we could always just serve those people, but it ended up picking up more and more and more people, to the point that by the time that they decided to do Star Trek the motion picture, it's a huge budget. They really thought there was, and that actually kind of screws them a bit because they overspent on that movie. They overestimated the total audience for Star Trek, and that's a thing that you keep seeing happening today with the Kurtzmans and all that. That we have science fiction property, so it should do $1 billion. It will never do $1 billion as a hard sci-fi.
I think they're pretending when they say that, because even Kurtzman say that, we're just using it to push our ideology. It's the same with Russell T Davies. They don't give a shit about the project they're supposed to be spearheading. It's just what they think is important. It's not even related to the actual property.
Right, but the studio itself, thinks that, I'm sitting on Star Trek.
I think they're like
because
this.
everybody knows that, right? But they're fooling themselves about the value of the actual property.
Oh, it's gone way down. They've killed all of them have, by the way. But last legs. And worse, they've alienated all of the people who would have passed it on to their kids and so on and so forth. So we're going to die out, basically.
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. I mean, I was thinking about that. I mean, even when I was a kid and I liked Star Trek, it's like the fan base of Star Trek is really old. Like, and then people that are new that are liking it, they're just weirdo, like, / shippers. Like, I liked this movie that came out
they'll like
because
next thing that comes.
I like Benedict Cumberbatch. So, like,
Yeah, but I think you'll have other shows that still have a similar vein. Again, The Expanse was an interesting hard science fiction.
Yeah, I like that
show.
one.
Shit, Firefly, we all talk about.
Firefly was fucking rocked, and boy, that is literally Wagon Train in space.
Yes, I am. Like, my husband has been made me watch that, and we've watched a few episodes, and it's like I don't like it.
I've never seen it.
I appreciate it for what it's doing, and it does a really good job.
I've never seen Firefly.
You will love it.
Yeah, and they showed them out of order. They didn't do him any favors.
Watch the first couple of episodes. It's really interesting. It's like a very much a space western, and they really lean into the western parts, and the kind of characters are there, and the aesthetic is there too, which is kind of random and weird. But
wouldn't happen without Star Trek for sure.
Yep. No, it wouldn't.
See how I brought it home, Zach?
You did. You brought it home. You haven't watched Firefly. That's a problem. We have to get into that, but I do. And I think that Badger, what you said is probably one of the most important things. To this, it's that it has to be a show that's passed down, and I think that this really, they don't understand the damage they're doing long term, and maybe they don't care long term because they're this much, and but this is not going to be passed down, and it's difficult more and more to pass down a show like TOS. I'm going to guess to today's teenager. You have to really get them early with that. I would think, because it's because it's so dated. The chicks are hot, that's for sure. But yeah, it really has to come from that, parent to child or weird uncle to neighbor's kid kind of thing. Yeah.
But thankfully, though, I will say just on the original series, the newly CGI'd space scenes.
Yeah. haven't seen
the
that.
fact that everything is they're so much better.
Okay.
It makes it so much more palatable because it's still and everything looks because once you see everything in 4K, God, you can see every flaw that was covered by film. And anyway, I'm sure there will always be the original for that people want the original effects. But yeah, for trying to introduce someone, 4K with modern CGI, real good.
Yeah,
much easier.
Babylon 5 too, by the way. Has anyone else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rough.
I think
those originals.
Isn't it horrible?
Yeah,
Like
the
the effects are
originals are
so bad.
Yeah.
How hard would it be to just redo the visuals? Just
It looks so much better.
Just the effects.
In my mind's eye of the past. I do this with video games too. To go back and like, wow, it looks so much worse than I thought.
Well, it helped that you were watching it on an NTSC TV,
right?
And
true.
Again, at the time, I mean, the effects for B5 were really impressive for a TV show, especially for the budgets that they were working with.
They were made on an Amiga, were they not? Like
yeah, they used Lightwave to model everything, and
it worked. Okay, what's up, Dildo? All right, so we got one more thing I want to get. Then we're out. It's been over 2 hours now, and there's a poll in the chat, and I want to hear you guys chime in. And it's the biggest question of the night. It's who'd you rather? 7 of 9, Jadzia Dax,
7 of
Lieutenant
9.
Uhura. That's
Ooh,
now. It's okay. You could talk through it. So we got 7 of 9. We all recognize her.
Oh yeah,
she's above average in attraction. Yeah, The Expanse. They did. Yeah, they tried to, and it had a bad season in the middle, and I thought they ended it fine. The Expanse, but I was so happy when Amazon bought that, and I was so stupid to be happy about that.
I enjoyed that
Wow.
Canadian series Dark Matter. That was
Yes.
So did I.
really good.
So did I.
That
enjoyed
poll
it.
is not even
you
close.
watched that, babe? Dang, leaving me out. I wanted to watch it.
Not Apple TV Dark Matter. Sci-fi Dark Matter.
Yeah, you know what, that show, there's the twist about when they start to find out who they are.
Yes.
That I did not see that coming. It was one of the big surprises, and how they played it out.
Too.
Yeah.
Is this a dude?
No, it's a no. She's cute, but these Trill
She's
where they have
hot.
a life form with them, sort of like a ghoul.
They have a
from,
symbiont, and then they get they were able to access the
I don't like
memories
it.
and stuff.
That's
I
a
like
dude.
it.
That's
I
a
like
dude.
Dax. I thought she's hot.
fine. Yeah, she's
And then Uhura is number 3.
She's
So
hot too.
Yes, she
Like,
is.
can we just have a threesome and call it a day?
Exactly. Of
Yeah,
course.
go you, Alex.
Phrasing.
Oh, you won. Yeah, no, for sure. I want Jerry Ryan. She wins.
Jerry Ryan, Gooch. You can pick
Was the
Sulu.
threesome an option?
You can pick
Because I would've-
Sulu
Yeah,
if you want.
you can pick Sulu.
I know. I'm kind of thinking like he'd
Or
probably be
Kirk.
a really
You
good.
could go with Kirk.
He looks like a Gooch tickler.
He's
No,
very fit.
Jerry Ryan. Jerry Ryan.
Oh, okay.
Oh, definitely.
Lady B.
You know what? I like Jadzia just because like old school like that. Like Deep Space Nine was my thing, but like why we can't have all three, I don't know.
I
It-
Why you
agree.
making
you
me
can.
choose?
You can. It was. I
Okay.
couldn't finding like decent pictures of her. Is like not easy. I'm
I
shocked
know
by
it's
that.
pretty.
That's a
Yeah.
dude.
No, those are not the best pictures of her.
No, I couldn't. And from the
It might
show,
be
there's like
these
no
days.
HD caps of her. It's all like blurry shit. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, she was pretty hot.
Too much Jergens, I guess, used on the cameras back then,
RuPaul's Drag Race.
possibly. And then yeah, obviously Jerry Ryan. It is tough to beat that one. Alex, you can. Yeah, I want to hear Alex.
You started listing off the options, and I answered before you got to the second one.
You
It's
said
Jerry
7
Ryan.
of 9, Jerry Ryan. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it looks like
And
in the chat.
Sentient
where-
Dildo is not wrong though. T-Pole is a good pull.
Yeah, Jolene Blaylock is. I would take that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
She's a smoke show.
Jerry Ryan's got it 7 of 9.
He
Easily
had to
cleans it
help
up.
Trip with his
Hey.
nightmares.
If I can be a Jedi, I do all of them. So
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No attachment. It's all
Careful
good.
with that force mind trick.
Yeah.
I was the guy who didn't play a Jedi. What's with that?
What?
I don't know. Yeah, I'd play like role playing games, whatever. I would never be the
Yeah,
Jedi.
you got to be the rogue.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
The problem is that it's fun, and I like Sith in reality would actually be great. And like in the Old Republic, the problem is they always write them as
Fair.
cackling, like stealing candy for baby, as opposed to just like
Yeah.
machinations and
Right. Yeah.
sacrificing weakness and the fun stuff of that type of thing. But yeah,
All right. Well, let's wrap this sucker up. Go around first. I'll start with you, Badger. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been awesome. First time having you on. Gonna bug you to come back again.
Yeah, love to have you on. I mean, not this Friday because we got Jesus Christ, Goooch, film comics
Niet.
explained. Niet.
Niet.
Let's just call him Niet. Yeah. But maybe next Friday if you can. Yeah, it's been great, dude. Appreciate it. Love streaming with you. And it was a
tell
pleasure
me when and
meeting
where.
everyone else. Goodwin, nice meeting you.
Oh, yes, it's lovely to
Goooch.
meet
You. Good luck on your channel.
Yeah.
Good luck to yeah. It's nice meeting you, bro.
Speaking of Goooch, 14K, dude.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, look at that. Go ahead. Tell your lie. Tell your lie. Go ahead.
You motherfucker.
I am overwhelmed.
Okay, that all allow.
So humble.
Yeah. No, I'm extremely grateful. Yes, I busted my hump, and I worked really hard.
Busted.
To,
Zach's.
Yeah.
He did bust.
Yeah. I love the conversations we have on my channel. The panel is awesome. The people in the chat, you guys are fucking awesome. It's been awesome. I can't. There's nothing more I can say. It's
awesome.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Terminator tomorrow, right?
Yes. Are you gonna be there? Are you gonna join or no?
I did not plan on it. If you really want me to, I will. But I just don't know.
It's a good panel. Good one.
I need you on there because Leon's on there.
Oh, good win.
I know. I was like, oh wait, no Badger, but oh.
I mean, I'll help you just to balance Leon. All right, I guess I'll join.
Oh, and Boosh, thank you so much for joining tonight. That was his first time on Diabolical Souls. We did Wicked City, and it was a different show. And he was great. He was great. Have Boosh back on.
Boosh.
Yeah,
rules.
Boosh is great, dude.
Yeah. Some titties, like damn, like
they were
hi.
stacked up, yeah.
Oh, there was a lot.
The
Oh my
teeth,
god.
the teeth. Oh my god.
So we've got everyone's info is in the description. So please go subscribe to everyone. Lady B.
I gotta get well. It sucks having like fibromyalgia because you just think, I've taken good health for granted for a long time, and I've been feeling decent, really good enough to do streams and stuff and organize stuff. And like after I got married, it's just big, huge stress event. And I'm back to, not sleeping well, like waking up feeling exhausted. I'm having back pain and stuff, but I'm hoping that I start to feel better. I've had 2 good days so far, but I'm exhausted tonight. And I want to do like Tales from the Blanket Fort, where I just kind of go through some of my favorite childhood book. I'm going to create a blanket fort for each one. So you get like special like thing of a special cave, and just kind of talk about my favorite books, show some of them. A lot of them have great illustrations. Like I was just introducing Alex to Cat Wings by Ursula K. Le Guin. Amazing. We're looking for like My Side of the Mountain. I think that book might have radicalized me, though I didn't know it at the time. And just fun stuff like that. I'm trying to think of something that's like, positive, and something that's not just me talking about crap. And I'm also at some point in time going to make the, if I made House of the Dragon video. I feel like that's a long time coming, and it's something I think about a lot. So hopefully, let's just get healthy. It sucks, honestly.
Did you read George's blog post that he deleted?
I did not. I was kind of like reading it, and people were saying that like, oh, he doesn't want to write because XYZ, and I'm like, well, read the whole thing. He wasn't talking about not writing. He was just stupid.
Talking about House of the Dragon.
Oh, he was
today.
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
He was not fond
He
of
mentioned
their
how he told them not to change the thing of which child is moitered, and that they basically said they didn't want to cast a toddler, and they blamed budget and all that. So he basically was like, I told him not to do it. They did it. Yeah. And that's what you get for messing with source.
And then he deleted it. So shortly after, but it was
They probably must have said something.
It's out there. Well, he said, he said that they lied to him too, that they said they were going to cast that character later when that character's older, but then they said, no, we're not going to do it at all now. Yeah. The third. So
I got to find this.
Yeah. I'll send you a copy if you want.
Oh, yes. I want to read it.
Yeah. You'd have to look at the arc. And I think Hollywood Reporter or something had it before he deleted it, and they mentioned it.
I have
I've got a link as well.
I have
Okay, y'all hook me up.
Firefly linked up and ready to go. So
look at you,
Firefly?
baby.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Oh, hell yeah.
dude.
Watched
Dude,
it.
Get
If I wasn't falling asleep, I'd just say just bring it up. I'll watch it.
Fuck
with
yeah.
you.
Let's go. Yeah, I'll watch it with you. I think the
one
train
of my
job is the
favorite
first one.
shows. Fuck. Well, Train Job was the
great.
first one that Fox put on, but it was out of order because they put the pilot on later. But it was the first
Yeah.
show that aired. Yeah.
I'll have to go and see on Amazon.
Pilot is fun. Like it's like a fun show. I don't enjoy it enough. Like I keep wanting watching it, but like to see what they did of mixing the genres and the characters are interesting, and I like the sort of like the Western characters they melded with the sci-fi stuff. I thought it was cool. I think you'll enjoy it. It's fun. Give it a chance.
You should review it. Gooch, if you've never watched it. Like
No, I have. I've watched like 3 or 4
Gooch.
episodes. Yeah. Do watch it.
Alex, make her watch it.
I've watched like 4 episodes. I'm just like, I don't know that I like.
Yeah, ironically, the
finish
first
it up.
episode is Serenity. It's called Serenity, and then
Yeah.
the second one is the Train Job. Even if they did it out of order. So yeah,
Right.
Gooch, watch Serenity. It's called Serenity, season 1, episode 1, not the movie, not to be confused with the movie.
You will then watch the movie afterwards.
You will then watch the movie at the end. Yes.
Zach, what's up, dude? What's up, you cunts? Yeah. I'm still fucking awake. Well, I'm sorry, dude. I can't
I
help you
feel
with
the
that.
urge to giggle uncontrollably. I don't know why.
Nadia, yes. So Nadia, I don't think likes Firefly.
She doesn't like Nathan Fillion either, and I
Fuck that.
disavow her for that. I'm sorry.
How can you not like Nathan Fillion?
Have you met Nadia? Stop it.
Nathan Fillion.
Oh my
is-
god.
I love Nathan Fillion.
You know, love Guy Gardner.
He there's a story that his mom ran out of gas, and somebody like stopped and went and helped her get gas, like a jerry can, took her back to the car, helped her out, and then Nathan Fillion showed up at their house to thank them for helping his mom.
Wow.
That's about right.
Like that's my guy. And
Saving
you don't like him,
Private
Nadia?
Ryan.
Yeah.
There's
Ron Ryan.
a lot of some of the commentary for that Firefly season is fascinating. One of the things they mention is apparently there was a guest star who was like Harvey Weinsteining some of the female talent, and apparently Nathan Fillion and this unnamed individual like got into a brawl at some point. So apparently that's one of the reasons that all the women on the Firefly show really like him.
Oh, okay. That wasn't Joss who was doing that, was he? He's a
I don't know, because I think he and Joss are still relatively like tight, but they specifically mentioned it was a guest actor. So I've always been curious who it was, because it's not a long list of potential suspects.
Nadia, you're a red flag.
Zach, you're muted.
You are a red flag. I should be muted right now, probably. That's fair. I'm looking at Marina Baccarin pictures from Firefly.
Nathan Fillion is the
God.
Canadian
she's
legend.
so fucking hot. Yeah.
She is so hot.
It's like perfection right there.
Yes.
Great actress too. Oh, Homeland made it worth watching. Mozart either. That's true. Some people don't like Mozart either. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Alex, what's up with you? White Cloaks. 906 subs, almost to 1K.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Got some more Wheel of Time stuff kind of cooking in the background. Got a couple scripts I need to do video editing for. And then doing rewatches this week. Filming another rewatch this weekend, and probably starting to put those out weekly in 2 weeks.
Awesome. We have to get you guys over 1K.
It would really help if we tried and made videos and stuff like that.
It would help
when
if
you
you
guys
tried.
get
Yeah.
your like rewatches going, but the hard thing with rewatches is that Alex travels, Dane travels now, and Pips is in the sandbox in the Middle East somewhere. So trying to get everyone on the same thing is
Oh, Pips is gone again.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that,
Yeah.
Goodwin, where are you next?
Oh, I'll be on Gooch's tomorrow for that Terminator Zero stream, and then Friday, as usual, be on B-Sides, watching terrible movies and being subjected to whatever shorts Jethro submits, and those are usually atrocious. And then Sunday, Wayfarer Project for earworms, and then Late Night with the Gooch.
When are you doing a channel?
When I get time.
Well, you just told me how much time you have with how many shows you're doing. Just let down Goooch.
I
So, you
think
know
the,
what,
the
Goooch?
biggest thing is that I haven't
You're
had
on your
anything
own.
that really fires me up, inspires me to go, okay, fuck this. I gotta talk about this. This is driving me nuts, right?
Thanks,
and,
Zach.
And until that happens, I'm not sure that.
Oh, if only
that
we had
anything's
mentioned
really
that.
gonna
Yeah. Thank you, Zach. You're right. You're right.
Wow.
Sorry, Jay.
I'm not sure I'm going to go that far with what Zach said.
Sorry.
Form factor similarities, but
Thank you, Blair.
look at the
Yes, thank
original
you.
cell phones. They don't look like
Oh,
them.
thank you, Blair.
All right. Cheers to that. Go sub to all these wonderful people. Lady B, you've had some amazing videos with your. I love your token stuff that you do, but that's just me. I'm a
I know.
sucker
I
for
want to go
Tolkien.
back. I want to read The Hobbit. Like I feel like it was bad. I was watching Stupid Rop, and now I want to read The Silmarillion again because I don't remember shit from it. So,
By the way, I need to.
so
Can I
sad.
plug what Gooch and I are doing tomorrow?
Yeah,
Go
plug
for
it.
it.
Go
Between
plug
our
away. Plug away.
Fucking
Oh.
mini streams together. We have. Remember? Remember? So
Yes.
I don't know if he's going to make it to Nerd Wars pre-open bar, which I'm doing. You can see me next. But then we are going to be on Off the Cover Paul's channel, which is at 4 o'clock PST, and then then Gooch's stream at 7 o'clock PST for Terminator. So all the streams in the world tomorrow.
No shit.
Yeah,
Can we
You
get a
didn't remember
link
that,
to
did
that
you?
last one?
5 hours of streaming, baby. Get ready for it.
In the chat, please. You guys are going to be where tomorrow? What's the channel called?
Just Off the Cover.
Off the Cover.
I'm
Okay.
Paul from Off the Cover. Yeah.
Okay.
Be tomorrow. So.
Off the Cover.
Yeah. Oh, you're regretting you're a professional streamer now, Gooch. Professional streamer, have all the caffeine in the world.
Yeah.
We'll tell Paul an hour. We can only do an hour.
Yeah, I can legit can only do an hour.
I understand. Big time him.
Here we go.
No. That's
I
not.
hope this is the right guy here, but if not, go sub to him. Off the Cover yet. That's it.
Shout out.
All right, let's go.
yeah.
So you can follow all these people around, and then dude, congratulations, open bar. It's not your first time there, but still, it's you're all over the place right now, and you deserve it. So,
Oh, me?
congratulations.
Oh,
Yeah, you do.
Thank you. Yeah, next yeah, no, it's be a fourth time. Thank God he says yes for some reason. Great guy. And yeah, Chris Gore, thank you.
And a great
Also
show.
great guy.
That's my favorite of those. Only one of those big shows that I watch weekly is that one because it's a real conversation. It feels like good people, different personalities, and you go in depth on stuff. It's not just name the topic.
Yeah,
move
do
on.
hot take and move on. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So good luck, and then chat guys, stand up. Let's show some respect for the trans community. Here we go.
Our theme
You
song.
know you love it.
Earworms.
Respect to the trans community. And fuck you, transphobes.
Trans people are my friends. Transphobes gon' catch these hands. Trans people are my friends. So respect them for we're going in. Trans people are my friends. Transphobes gon' catch these hands. Trans people are my friends. So respect them for we're going in. Transphobes, show your fucking out. I'll knock you out. I'll knock you out. Transphobes, show your fucking out. I'll knock you out. You better watch out. Trans people are my friends. Transphobes gon' catch these hands. Trans people are my friends.